traditionalist. Was Prabhupada a traditionalist? Here's what Prabhupada said. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya. An acharya who comes for the service of the Lord cannot be expected to conform to a stereotype. That's Prabhupada. And there's more to that, but I'll save that for later.
I have a quote here from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, maybe in the same area, I'm not sure. This is Adi Leela, where Srila Prabhupada said when his own godbrothers and some of them and other leaders in India were thinking, what is this A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada doing, going to America and trying to make Sudras and Lechas and women into Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, like, into devotees of God. It's not going to work. So he actually makes a quote in the Chaitanya Charitamrita and said, fools criticize that I adapted ways and means favorable to spread Krishna consciousness by accepting Sudras and women equally to serve Krishna. These fools must be just satisfied with their own foolishness because they could not do it.
Right.
I can't comprehend why you're killing me. I don't understand why you're pulling me down. We see the same sun going up. We walk the same ground. Brahmas me. Brahmas me. Brahmas me.
Welcome to the Eighth Element podcast. My name is Buzz Ryan, and we have here
Garg Zallard.
and our very, very esteemed special guest, Ananga Manjari. Nice to have you here.
Wonderful to be here.
Yes,
Thank you.
you look very effulgent.
It's
So-
a little blinding.
Yeah, blinded by the light.
It's mercy.
The mercy is blinding and sweet. So yeah, go for it, Gargs.
Ananga Manjari, aka Sage Mama Ananga, dedicated herself to the theological teachings and practices of Vedanta under the guidance of her spiritual teacher, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, for the last 56 years. As an interfaith reverend, doctor, counselor, and inspirational speaker, she shares her insights from a broad spiritual perspective that artfully combines modern Western thoughts and experiences with ancient Vedic insights. Sounds like Bugs Bunny over there.
I'm sorry, I'm shooting out loud. Pardon me.
As an interfaith reverend, doctor, counselor, and inspirational speaker, she shares her insights from a broad spiritual perspective that artfully combines modern Western thoughts and experiences with ancient Vedic insights. Her talks are seasoned with theology, philosophy, psychology, humor, and common sense. She offers us a practical and fresh perspective on how to live in bhakti, the spirit of love for the divine. She is the mother of Vishvambar Sheth, kirtan master and inspirational speaker. What group is he in? The Mayapuris?
He's the leader of the Mayapuris, and also he was with other groups as well. His own thing is Kirtan Beast.
Oh, yeah.
Kirtan Beast.
Hashtag Kirtan Beast. Ganga Devi is one of her daughters. Odissi performer, dance therapist. DavyImmersion.com. And Jamuna is another one of her daughters, a kirtan performer and a holistic nutritionist. And there's a quote here. Is this from you?
Yes.
Okay. The greatest adventure in life is to keep our spirit evolving.
Whoa,
John.
love that.
I'm
So,
trying.
so you've raised some very powerful children. Kudos to you for that.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And you're also a business owner,
Yes.
correct? So beautiful. So yeah, we're super honored to have you here. And
Thank you.
the subject matter of our discussion today is kind of a hot topic in our community, the Vaishnav community. Female Diksha guru or initiating guru in our line, a person who takes disciples, initiates them into the line of succession. So recently, there was a decision by the governing body And perhaps you could elaborate on that decision.
Of the International Society for Christian
Christian-
Consciousness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our governing body. Yeah. So even though it's dealing within the parameters of our community, it has other social implications for society in general.
Mhm.
So those of you who are not of this tradition, you may stick around and find some interesting social commentary. So yeah, if you could go ahead.
It has implications for so many spiritual movements around the world.
Yes.
Yes, it
Yeah.
does. Yeah, good point. So yeah, perhaps you could elaborate on maybe a little history, a brief history of what's been going on in this regard, the controversy, and the recent decision.
Okay. The recent decision. Okay.
Yeah.
There's different aspects of that. So you might want to remind me of a few of the aspects. But I'm personally passionate about this subject, this topic, because to ignore it is actually hurting Prabhupada's legacy. And that's my main reason for wanting to speak out. It will actually, by neglecting such a large percentage of Prabhupada's disciples who are, Vaishnavis, women, in Krishna consciousness, will actually kind of disintegrate Prabhupada's mission. It's not what he wanted, and it will disintegrate his mission into some dogmatic quasi-Indian religion. And that's what is that's the danger here. And that's why I would like to speak out to help Prabhupada's mission. I have no self-interest. I have nothing to lose or gain in this personally, as far as position or anything. I'm not.
You're not making any moolah from this?
I want disciples so I can cash in.
or praise or anything. I don't really, or position. I'm not interested. So the exact question is you wanted some history.
Correct.
Okay. So in history, when I joined, I was 16 in 1970 in Boston Temple. It was a large temple because the press was there. So there were at least 100 something devotees there in the ashram in Boston Temple. And we were all friends, men, women, everyone was friendly. Everyone was encouraging each other. Jadharani and other ladies were giving class. I even got to give class, although I was like new.
What year was that around?
70.
Mhm.
Yeah. And it was very brotherly, sisterly, the whole situation. We all jumped into a van. There's even pictures in old magazine, BTG magazine.
Let me
Yeah.
quickly interject here. This is so you have experienced a very amazing historical moment in time by being with, it's kind of like the followers of Jesus that were with Jesus. So the followers of Srila Prabhupada, many historians are saying has that type of characteristic as a historical religious movement with a powerful, you could say, divinely inspired
Exactly.
representative of God, saint, bona fide saint. So you had that experience in the early days. So that's what you're referring to.
Yes.
What year did you go to the Boston Temple?
I 1972.
72. Okay. I was in Boston too, but in the 80s.
So I would, myself amongst others we were giving classes, women and men. Everyone was excited about that. Leading kirtans. Kirtan is chanting of the holy name, being the lead singer, playing the mridanga, out on Harinam in the temple. We were all doing everything the same. Everyone
Did you stand side by side in front of the
Yes.
deities?
Yeah.
Okay.
Each
side,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes just mixed up. I mean, sometimes it was just mixed up. And there was no hard and fast rule for chanting the holy name.
Gargs, you get mixed up
And-
sometimes, right?
Mixed up confusion.
And so it was a wonderful, happy time with everyone working together. And then after some time, I was married at a young age in the movement. I joined when I was 16, got married when I was 17. And
Wow.
my then husband took sannyas when I was just turned 19. So
Wow.
we were married basically 1 year. And in
That's
those
pretty
days,
crazy.
yeah. In those days, the married couples, we were more like preaching partners and brother and sister friends because we didn't even have our own apartments or anything. It was like we
It was
were
all in the missionary spirit.
living in the ashram separate and just working together during the day for the mission. Yes. A lot of preaching, a lot of sharing of Krishna consciousness at universities, at high schools, out in the street, and just in the temple. And everyone was equal, having great time. And that was my propensity. I like to say, when I heard the holy name, the Hare Krishna mantra, that caught me, the names of God, singing the names of God. It was inspiration. It inspired me, and it made me curious. And as soon as I started reading philosophy, that just said, I have to do this. I was not attracted to the Indian dress. Even I was a vegetarian already, but the Indian food, none of that was attractive to me. It was the holy name and the philosophy, and wanting to speak the philosophy. The first time Sharadia was a friend of mine, an old devotee lady, and she was actually only 2 years older than me, so she was 18. And I was asking her a million questions, and she was answering them so eloquently that I said, I want to be able to speak like you about the absolute truth. This knowledge is exactly what I've been looking for. As a young person, I was reading Buddhism and some other Eastern philosophies, but this was what Prabhupada had given us. It was very concise and very convincing to me. It clicked with my heart. It inspired me. So she said, oh, Prabhupada said that if you listen nicely, you'll be able to speak nicely. So that was my whole passion and ambition to share all this wonderful stuff. When we hear something that touches our heart, we automatically want to share it with others. That's a natural thing. And we want to spread it. And just like Prabhupada did, his guru touched his heart with transcendental knowledge and love for God. And, he came here and spread it like wildfire in the dark night of the Western countries that, yes, we had religion, but it was, to me, I was very religious, but in a Catholic upbringing. But I had many questions that weren't answered, and I felt like they were answered here. Anyway,
Well, may I just ask,
yes,
where were you born? Where are you from?
Boston,
Oh, okay.
Massachusetts.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we yearn to share what we're excited about. And so time passed. It was 1972 when both Hridayananda and I, my ex-husband, decided that let's do more for Prabhupada's mission. Let's take sannyas and renounce the married life in dedicating ourselves like a priest and a nun would, totally to just serving the absolute truth, the Lord God, Krishna. So we both decided that together. We discussed it. We had lots of conversations.
So
We thought,
just for our listeners that might not be familiar with sannyas.
yes, renouncing.
Yes, sannyas is the renounced order of life where one renounces family life and connections with wife and children and becomes a kind of like a missionary.
Yes, like a nun or
You're
a
right.
priest.
Celibate missionary,
Yes.
just spreading, teaching the principles of Krishna consciousness, God consciousness.
So we were excited about that. And we went to Prabhupada, and he asked me 3 times, are you sure? I mean, I was, like I said, just turned 19, and we were excited about this. So we did it. Prabhupada gave him the sannyas order, and we both thought that I would also be traveling, preaching, leading kirtans, doing what I had been doing, but just different, separate, And right at that time, 1972, I remember all of a sudden the authorities of the institute, institute started saying, woman can't play mridanga, woman can't lead kirtan, woman can't, give classes in the temple, woman can't do all these things. So I was like, well, what am I supposed to do with my life then? Because this was everything that I knew.
Right. So there was the shift when you were with Srila Prabhupada and all the early devotees, there was this beautiful family connection.
Yes.
And Prabhupada was the center. He was the father, the teacher, the spiritual master, the loving caretaker. And everybody felt that connection. There was no, hang-ups, men, women. I mean, there was the code, the moral codes were there.
Yes.
And so it wasn't promiscuous, but it was familial.
Familial. Yes.
Right.
Brother, sister.
So what shifted?
So some of the leaders, I guess the sannyas fever came upon the men, a lot of the men. So there was a big group of men that took sannyas at that time. Again, the renounced order. And they decided that I don't know, is it ego? I mean, I'm sure that's part of it. It's
No, really?
Well, ego.
I mean,
it sounds like it's egocentric.
Yes, egocentric, not, like misogynistic, whatever. So they're old problems that people may have had, and now they're leaders, so they can control something. So let's control the woman. I mean, I think that's in many cultures, many religions that happens.
And also, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that women were, because of the celibate vow, women were a threat.
Yes.
The threat to that vow.
Yeah, and they were very young men. So
I mean, come on, it was it's understandable in a sense, not healthy, but understandable.
Exactly. That's not the excuse, but that could be a reason why this was coming down. Yes, there was a lot of tension in that area. So it started then, I would say 72, and I believe that I think Pranada was also explaining some history, and Jadharani also explained some history right around that time in New York Temple. They started saying women can't even chant japa in the temple room, like the main meditation that we're supposed to all do for Krishna, for our spiritual life.
So that must have been
do that in the
so
temple.
Disheartening.
Yeah, so we were like relegated to our bedrooms basically, and
Wow.
in the ashram to do all of that. And
but your experience with Srila Prabhupada, your teacher, our teacher, was completely different.
Yes.
It can make that distinction if you could.
Okay.
But also the question is, did Prabhupada know this was going on?
There was a letter. So Ekayani had one devotee. She had sent a letter to Prabhupada saying that Prabhupada, the men are not letting the women do this, and not chant in the temple room, and all these restrictions on the woman. And Prabhupada said, "Why are you changing these things? I don't want you to change these things." It's like, what if the men cannot stand to see a Vaishnavi engaged in Krishna conscious
Vaishnavi
service,
meaning a female devotee of Krishna.
Yes, a female devotee, doing saintly things, chanting the holy name of God like rosaries, then if you're that agitated, go to the forest. He said the men should just go to the forest and not, so these changes he was not happy with. Later on, there are many instances where he had ladies being in charge of things, and he was happy with that. And there's a couple of things I'd like to clarify that had been going on in some podcasts earlier in other podcasts.
If I may, before you do that, I'm just going to, if it's okay with you guys, just read a quick anecdote, which shows where Prabhupada was at in this regard. It's quite, I just was reading last night. Most nights I read Prabhupada memories, and this is quite revealing. May I?
Yes, please.
Okay. So this is Madhavananda. In Calcutta, 1972, Prabhupada was on a morning walk with a lot of brahmacharis. Some of the brahmacharis are the celibate monks, but they're not in the traveling renounced order like the sannyas. Some of the brahmacharis were complaining because women lived in the Calcutta temple, 3 Albert Road. The brahmacharis said, Srila Prabhupada, sometimes the women don't put saris over their heads. So in the tradition, cover your head, because not cover your whole face like a burqa, but just cover your hair because you don't want to agitate the guys. Prabhupada, and why can't women get a place outside separate from the brahmacharis? Their presence is not conducive to our brahmachari life. So they were threatened. Prabhupada was silent, so he didn't respond. Prabhupada was silent for the entire walk. Sometimes he stopped walking and then started again, but he didn't respond to the brahmacharis. We came up to the stairs of 3 Albert Road. Someone opened the door, and there was Jamuna, Palika, and Shamasundar's wife, Malati, and Kushali and Manjari, and other women who had stayed behind to wash the floor, cook for the deities, bathe the deities, dress the deities, prepare Prabhupada's seat, Vyasasan, and the cushions for the guests. The woman immediately offered their obeisances and said, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada turned to all of us, the brahmacharis, and said, but if you associate with these women, you will all go back to Godhead.
That's nice.
So that's, Prabhupada, he saw the women as great saintly people.
I was in Srila Prabhupada's room in this connection in LA, and one reporter said in a very, very respectful way, they said, Prabhupada, you're the leader of this ISKCON movement, and we've heard that you said that women are less intelligent. Could you please explain that better? And Prabhupada said, anyone who takes to spiritual life is most intelligent. And we don't say it's just women or men. Basically, it's anyone who doesn't take to spiritual life is less intelligent. And anyone who is interested in something beyond mundane life is more intelligent. And then he explained, we allow our men and women to do everything equally. That was his intention. It wasn't happening. Even when he was here, it wasn't happening. But that was what he said, and that was his intention. As far as managing Prabhupada did not micromanage, as we know. So he was busy at that time writing his 60 volumes of Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and, so he wasn't micromanaging. So things were slipping. We were slipping through the cracks, basically, with this unfortunate concepts of. I'd like to, if you don't mind.
Yes, please.
I know I didn't completely answer your question about the recent.
Well, we'll get to that. Go ahead. Continue with your flow there.
I'd like to say this because I think we have to understand this first before we can really comprehend the whole.
Right. So in other words, gaining a greater context.
Yes. Yeah. So Srila Prabhupada, his whole legacy, what did he do? What was different that he did? First of all, his books. So many volumes of transcendent knowledge from the Vedas, that wisdom, that's, and we can't change that, but yet we're changing that. So, and then another great thing that is part of his legacy is that he came to the West at an older age with great difficulty, as we know, and he gave transcendence wrapped in an Indian culture. The wrapping was the Indian culture, the dress, the food, the way to speak. And it was the wrapping. We got so caught up some of us got so caught up in the wrapping that we forgot the transcendence beyond it. So he did not want us to recreate the caste system, which was, his guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta, Prabhupada was so not into the caste system,
it's
where
the antithesis.
Caste system is.
It's the antithesis of the truth of the soul.
In fact, he fought.
Yes, the caste system.
He fought against those people.
Yes, exactly. The smarta Brahmins. So the caste system and the smarta Brahmins, I'm just going to explain that for a little, just real quick. The caste system is where there's a hierarchy, and there's the Brahmins, and then there's people that work under the hierarchy that are managers, and then there's the business people and like that. But to put them always that they have to always be that, like by birth. Like if you're born in a family of business people, you cannot raise yourself to a higher level. So that was what he was against. There is a natural progression of people who some are business minded, some are philosophical minded. They can be the priests or.
So it's just, as Krishna says, the guna karma mayadrisha, I think it is, but it's determined by quality and
quality.
Work. Yeah, one's innate qualities and one's tendency to work in a certain way, not by birth.
So he was totally against this idea that we should be stuck on the material limiting conceptions of the caste system or varnashram, which is also kind of similar in a way. There's limiting conceptions for varnashram, but there's also spiritual conceptions for varnashram. And that means that's why he created a society for Krishna consciousness, so that we could expand into the society. Not everyone's going to be a nun and a priest in Krishna consciousness, or a brahmachari sannyasi. There'll be people who take part of the philosophy and appreciate it, and they maybe serve their God. They can call God in a different name, and that's also part of varnashram. That everyone works towards a higher personality of Godhead, the highest, greatest good, the summum bonum of everything, our creator, our father or mother of the universe, that we all work for a higher cause together and we cooperate. That's
Irrespective of one's background and religion. And
irrespective of gender, color, nationality, religion, it doesn't matter. We could all get together along. That will benefit the whole human race if we could do that. But when we want to have these mundane concepts of, you are a woman, so you can't do this. You're only a business person, so you can only do that. These things cause dissension in a society. And Prabhupada did not create International Institute for Krishna Consciousness. He created a society.
Good point.
Now, of course, institute is also not a bad thing to a certain extent, because it focuses on, a certain goal. And there is that in Krishna consciousness also, in our Krishna conscious religion or society. There's some part of an institute, there's hierarchy focusing on a specific...
Institute or institution? I would say
Yes,
institution would be a better
Thank you.
term. And, what we've seen, just a quick interjection here, is that, especially in this decision that has recently come down, that institutional considerations seem to override Siddhanta, or the essence or truth of the philosophy.
Oh, by the way, what was the decision? Did we go over that?
No,
We're going to.
We're going to get there. Okay,
We're
I'm so
getting
sorry.
there.
Yeah.
I'm taking a little bit of because you asked for
We're
history.
taking the long and winding road.
I'm giving some history
Right,
on the philosophy of...
Yeah, of course. Yeah, to set the stage.
His intention was. Yeah.
Correct.
So
Don't worry, folks. The decision is coming.
the decision about the decision.
Right.
Yeah. The institutes institution is usually, the members are more tightly controlled. Like in a lab, they have to wear a white coat. They have to follow certain rules because it's controlled environment. Whereas a society is less controlled. It's a broader outreach of different kinds of people coming together to cooperate for a higher cause, hopefully a higher cause, and shared interest. They would have more freedom, and it's like kind of meeting in a park. There's basic rules. Don't throw rocks. Don't, whatever, leave your garbage around, put it in the right place. So there's some basic rules, but everyone wants to cooperate because they are able to individually grow in their own way and have conversations that are, even if I disagree with you, I can respect your difference. Especially if it's especially on things like, even in different religions, like cover your head or don't cover your head, or men wear certain things or put something on their head.
Or the name of God that one uses in their prayer.
Yeah, because God is so amazing. Everyone says he's unlimited. Everyone that believes in him says he's unlimited. So why can't he have millions of names and millions of relationships with millions of different people? And so anyway, so that's kind of the... that's what I feel Prabhupada wanted, to create that society which automatically would go into the varnashram or the expanded society and not necessarily look like what he gave us in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And another example.
And that's why he said at the end of his life, and forgive me for interrupting, that 50% of my work is finished, is left unfinished, and that 50% is varnashram. How to spread this so all people can take advantage. And of course, there's more to that, but
Yes. So Prabhupada's interest, his intention was always to expand Krishna consciousness, never to regress it or limit it. So he would have never said women have to stay in the kitchen and stay in the bedrooms and have nothing else to do, or not even, this other group is saying, not even have to get initiated, because they should all have husbands that control them and work under that. And that's their spiritual dharma. That's the Sri Dharma, which Prabhupada, I looked in many different places and I could not find one quote where Prabhupada used those exact words. He spoke about different things that women in cultural India do, but he never said that that's what he wanted for his movement, or said those words, Sri Dharma. So this is something, again, inventing. Prabhupada said, don't invent.
Sri Dharma, can you explain?
Yes, Stri means woman, and Dharma means your occupation.
Right.
So a woman's occupation in their context means to stay in the kitchen, and as Narayani mentioned, to make chapatis with lots of ghee for their husbands, and stay in the bedroom and make babies.
What about chutney?
Oh, I can't miss the chutney. It's too hot to handle and too sweet to resist, right?
Ooh,
Yeah.
sounds good.
So-
I'll take some of that.
But dharma also means, besides occupation, it means duty. Correct?
Yes,
Yeah,
duty.
okay.
But the Prabhupada gave us Sanatan Dharma, and that's
So Sanatan Dharma, go ahead,
Sanatan Dharma
is the dharma or the duty of the soul,
of the soul,
which is
Exactly.
our true identity.
Yes. And that's what Prabhupada wanted us to concentrate on. He gave transcendence, not in Indian culture.
And dharma also means that which sustains something. Like the dharma of water is wetness and liquidity.
Yeah.
So it's the nature of something.
Yes, the nature. So the
Okay.
nature of the soul ultimately is to love God, serve God and love God.
Mm.
That's the nature of the soul. It yearns for that.
Mhm.
People have, I'm sure, many experiences around the world in any country that they have little times, those moments that we call, a time when we want to understand why we're here, who we are, what do we do, and how do we fit in with the universe? And if we believe in God, that there is a supreme person,
And why is there suffering?
why is there suffering, and all these
And
things.
what's after death?
That's the yearning of the soul to understand higher knowledge and transcendent knowledge. And that's what Prabhupada gave us, the transcendent. I have a little story that one of the oppositions of this whole a woman being gurus, or woman being almost any kind of a leader at all, or even expressing their opinions or intelligence, those who are against that, the main one of the main people is, his name is Vasu Ghosh in India. And a long time ago, it must have been almost 20 something years ago, there was a festival in Bombay, and I was there, and I knew him from before, but I didn't know him well. And I knew his wife a little bit. She's an Indian village she was young village girl, very sweet. So I saw her and I gave her an embrace, and we started talking, and then her husband came, and Vasu Ghosh, and he started talking, and all of a sudden on the stage, they were having a thing called mantra rock. And there was some devotees there going to play with guitars and sing mantras, Hare Krishna, Krishna spiritual mantras,
Mhm.
And with their Western music. And all the young people were so excited. My son was there, and everyone was so excited about it. And when he heard the guitar starting to warm up in the distance, then he started saying to me, "Oh, this is so bad. Prabhupada would never approve of this. This is, we call Maya, illusion. This is bad for your Krishna consciousness. It's bad for your spiritual awakening." So he was saying this, and I said, "Oh, no," very innocently. I didn't know where he's coming from. That was a long time ago. I said, "Oh," I said, "No." I said, "I was in Prabhupada's room in Los Angeles twice when they were having him listen to some of their music. And it was like with guitars and singing, and they were rocking it. And Prabhupada was standing there, and he was tapping his cane and smiling. And then he said, at the end, he said, "This is better than George Harrison." So he
That was Mangalananda, right?
so happy. I'm not sure, but it was really good music. And they were singing mantras. And then another time they were singing in English, and they came in Prabhupada's room when I was there. And some devotees came in with well, in those days, tape recorder. And that's how old we are. But and they were having Prabhupada listen, and it just was like really like heavy metal, with the guitars, and Vishnu Jana was singing.
Acid rock.
And yeah, I guess so. So he was psychedelic rock. So he was singing, and Prabhupada couldn't understand what was going on. It sounded like a bunch of noise to him, So he said, "What are they saying?" and then a devotee said, "Oh, Prabhupada, they said you're not that body, you're spirit, soul, And he goes, "Okay." And he was listening a little more because they were asking him, "What do you think about this?" And then he said, "Is that Vishnu Jana singing?" It was one of the leaders in the Hare Krishna movement, who was like very well known for his wonderful angelic singing and won hearts from that. So Prabhupada said, "Is that him singing?" And they said, "Yes, Prabhupada, that's Vishnu Jana singing." And then he said, he just put his hands up like this, and he said, "Anyone who hears his voice will become a devotee." So the point is, if the intention is to help people understand and love God more, then it's blessed. It's a blessed thing, whether you're using, mridanga, or you're using mridanga's an Indian drum, or you're using some other instruments, guitars or whatever.
I'm going to interject something here. Speaking of, it's blessed.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So remember where you left off.
Yeah.
And let me, this is something that's quite amazing by Sridhar Maharaj.
Okay.
Srila Sridhar Maharaj, who is a Prabhupada's godbrother. Prabhupada respected him greatly. And he respected him in the sense that he said, after he left, if devotees have any philosophical questions, they should go to Sridhar, because he is revered and respected as you could say, the king of Siddhanta in the Vaishnava tradition, as far as Prabhupada's contemporaries. So he was asked once, "Can women become guru?" And he said, this is his exact words, because it pertains to what you just said, they're blessed. He said, "Yes, if they sincerely feel they can help others, then yes.
Mm-hmm.
Whether a qualified lady acharya should be accepted or not is a matter of controversy." We see that. "But I think for the sincere thinking person, wherever there is Krishna consciousness, there is purity. And wherever the sincere urge for propagation, that sanction must be there. They must be given the freedom to serve in this way, and they'll be blessed." So there you go.
Yeah. Intention is everything.
Right.
So when Prabhupada
And it's interesting that he said, if they sincerely feel they can help others. And we'll see from other quotes that I have from Srila Prabhupada, that was his mood. It wasn't a mood of tightly rigid kind of Vedic, like the Smarta Brahmins, or the Brahmins who, they asked in Krishna's pastimes to get the dust from their feet. And they go, "Oh, no, that's against Vedic regulations." So we see how that pastime turned out. We can explain that later. But the mood was how to give this knowledge to others, what will expand, and seeing the quality of a person, the sincerity. So he says here, wherever the sincere urge for propagation, wherever the sincere urge for propagation, that sanction must be there, that sanction to be guru. Which brings up another question, which we'll maybe address later. What is guru?
Yeah.
But anyway, continue on.
Okay. Yeah. So I was standing there with Vasa Ghosh. I told him these stories about Prabhupada, what he said about these 2 times and he said, "No." And he got really mad, and he started putting his finger up and saying, "No, Prabhupada came to the West to give Indian culture." And when he said that, I just went like, oh my God, this guy is so off.
Now, it should be noted that he is the preeminent leader of women should be, seen, not heard, and et cetera, not be allowed to be guru.
Yes.
What is his position right now? What is he?
Oh, well, anyway, he has created, he's been a big leader in India, in Gujarat particularly, and there's 4 or 5 huge temples in Gujarat that cost millions and millions of dollars, and tons of millions and hundreds of Indian followers in these temples. And that's a whole other issue, that he's blackmailing the leaders of ISKCON GBC, that he will take these temples away, as it may be more than that.
So obviously he has some
Yeah.
spiritual,
Yeah.
some deep learning, spiritual Shakti,
Yeah.
but that you saw this aspect of his
So many
personality
years
come out.
ago, before this issue.
Very, 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 very fascinating.
Before this issue was
Red
even-
flag.
Yeah, red flag. So I said, when he put his finger in my face and kind of getting hot and heavy, I put my finger up and I said, Prabhupada never came to give Indian culture. He came and gave transcendence. And I said it so emphatically and a little loud that I kind of got a little embarrassed, thinking, oh my God, there's like Indian people standing around watching two Westerners arguing. And, first we were conversing nicely, and then all of a sudden it turned into this argument. And there were three little older Indian gentlemen there. And I kind of almost felt embarrassed, thinking they're going to think this white lady is raging, about something. And that, you know what they did? They put their hand up, their fist, and all three of them, it was almost comical. It was like a comic. I could have drawn a comic out of it. They put their fist up and they went, yes, Mataji, transcendence. Prabhupada gave transcendence.
That's
I'm
so
like,
cool.
Okay. It was like,
It's too bad we didn't have that on film. That would have been amazing.
At least a picture.
yeah, well, maybe we can, if you know how to draw cartoons, it was a perfect cartoon. It was like, yes.
What year was that, by the way?
I'll have to look it up. It was the year of Bombay, the Cross Maidan Festival. They were repeating it like
Circa, though, I mean, approximately.
my son was about maybe 18 or something like that, 20, maybe 18, 17, 18. So he's now 43. So it was that
25 years.
25 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I kind of thought.
Okay.
So anyway, so that happened. And and then I told him, because he still wanted to argue. And then the music started. I said, oh, I'm sorry, I have to go to my bhajan. And I kind of skipped off to the bhajan to dance with. Yeah. Anyway,
Did you feel kind of riled up for a while?
no,
No.
because I went and started chanting with
Okay.
the music, the beat. I mean, it moved me, so I was dancing and happy after that. But I mean, it stuck out to me that this is a philosophical problem, that someone could think like this. And it goes back to what you mentioned, the word smarta Brahmin. So if you look up smarta Brahmin, it's a traditionalist. Someone who wants to stick with the cultural and traditional aspects of Vedic culture.
That's with an A at the end, not an ER.
Duh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Not.
It's more like
Right.
dumber.
I am Bostonian, so I might say smarta. I'm real smarta.
Yeah.
But-
You're a smart Brahmin, but you're not very smart.
They think they're smart. And it's actually a play on the words, because even though that's a Sanskrit word, it actually means they're men of learning. They think they're men of learning, and they stick to the books, like certain books, only books that agree with what they want to say. And
So in this regard, quick Srila Prabhupada quote.
please.
So traditionalist, was Prabhupada a traditionalist? Here's what Prabhupada said. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila.
Mhm.
An acharya who comes for the service of the Lord cannot be expected to conform to a stereotype. That's Prabhupada.
And
there's more to that, but I'll save that for
I
later.
have a quote here from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, maybe in the same area, I'm not sure. This is Adi Leela, where Srila Prabhupada said when his own godbrothers and some of them and other leaders in India were thinking, what is this A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada doing, going to America and trying to make Sudras and Lechas and women into Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, like, into devotees of God. It's not going to work. So he actually makes a quote in the Chaitanya Charitamrita and said, fools criticize that I adapted ways and means favorable to spread Krishna consciousness by accepting Sudras and women equally to serve Krishna. These fools must be just satisfied with their own foolishness because they could not do it.
Right.
So when Prabhupada first started in New York, he appeared first in Boston. He stopped for a bit, his boat that he took almost a month to get, or two. And then he went to New York, and he was trying to establish something there. He was working so hard. He was writing to his godbrothers and other leaders in India Vaishnavas and Gaudiya Vaishnavas, and in our line, and other pandits. And he was saying, I want you to help me. I want you to be part of this. This can be a great thing. Then if we're all part of it together, we'll all benefit. But most of them were not interested. They helped a little bit, sending some drums and sending a few things, but no one really jumped in and said, I'm going to join with you and help you in this mission. So Prabhupada was trying to establish himself. When he realized, I'm not getting help, then I have to establish my own mission, my own movement, and I have to be, these boys and girls are going to be Prabhus. They are going to be accepted as Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. And when I go back to India at some point, I want them to accept that my mission, my ISKCON mission, and these boys and girls are all bona fide, disciples and devotees of Krishna, of God. So therefore, he called everyone Prabhu at that time. He was calling the women Prabhu. And this is I say, a saintly person like Prabhupada never does anything just whimsically, or that he forgot that it's not a male word,
Did we define what Prabhu means?
Prabhu, so Prabhu literally means master or Lord. So he wanted everyone to address each other as master, but master of what, I ask? Master of what? What was he training us for? Master of serving each other. Master of, if I'm a master at service, I'm going to serve you better. So you call me Prabhu and I call you Prabhu because I respect you as even a better master than me in service.
In service,
And so we
service to each other in the mood of serving God.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. And Prabhupada said, and you can call me Prabhupada, meaning you are all serving me, but I am even a bigger master of service than you. So I'm serving you back more. It's an exchange of love and service.
And that's the essence.
That was why he wanted us to call. When I first joined, we all called each other Prabhu. And that was the reason, because I'm your servant, you're my servant. We're all servants together. We serve each other. We love each other.
But we didn't call ourselves Prabhu, right?
No, yeah.
We called ourselves
Yeah.
Das or
But,
Dasi, right?
What Prabhupada did actually in that, he gave us a PhD in devotional service.
Right.
So then with the title Prabhu, and you take that away, then he goes to India with all these women and men, Sudras, and because he said, no, they are Prabhus, they are Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, then the others all accepted. They said, oh yeah, we see that they're actually following the principles and doing what they're supposed to do. Prabhupada had all the pandits and his godbrothers and other Gaudiya Vaishnavas all accepting him as the Prabhupada. And he said, I'm the founder Acharya of ISKCON, because he didn't want anyone else to really kind of grab the devotees and start doing their own thing. Because he was trying to protect us by keeping us under his wing.
And he had his
with his
methodology.
yeah.
So he rejected the stereotypical traditionalist mode because he saw that it would not work in the West. And you judge a tree by its fruits. And he was having great success adapting the details to the Western culture. And I'm going to
just by the way, a little side note: Acharya means one who teaches by example.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And an Acharya, based also coming off of that, or expanding on that, Acharya can adjust the details. He doesn't adjust the core philosophy, but can adjust the details according to time, place, and circumstance. So you mentioned a quote from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. One sentence after your quote, Prabhupada says something very fascinating.
Please.
So he says, these jealous fools, I'm going to pick up from your quote and then say something else. Your quote ended, these jealous fools who criticize the intermingling of boys and girls will simply have to be satisfied with their own foolishness. I love that. Because they cannot think of how to spread Krishna consciousness by adopting ways and means that are favorable for this purpose. Now, then he said, their stereotype methods, think back to what Vashu Ghosh said. We have got, we probably came to give Indian culture. That's, you could say, the stereotypical method. No, we can't have this rock and roll, whatever. Their stereotype methods will never help spread Krishna consciousness. Maybe in strict Indian culture it will, but not all over the world.
Yes.
Therefore, Prabhupada said, therefore, What we are doing is perfect by the grace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. For it is he who proposed to invent a way to capture those who strayed from Krishna consciousness when he accepted sannyas from the Mayavadis.
Yeah.
So very, very powerful quote.
That's beautiful. Thank you for adding to that. And
No charge for that.
okay. Yeah, and
I forgot my credit card.
Yeah, I'll get it later from you.
so yeah. I mean, and then in a few verses after that,
Right.
in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says that anyone who is able to, spread the message of love for God, Krishna, according to time, place, and circumstance, has a special blessing from the Lord. They are specially empowered. He uses the word special, especially empowered and have a special blessing. So those who think that the Vaishnavis are women devotees, women disciples of Prabhupada, and grand disciples, or female grand disciples, are less than capable of engaging in Krishna consciousness according to their propensity and being leaders or whatever, if that's their
Or big guru.
or a guru. Yes, leaders, guru, or anything. They're actually believing, these people are actually believing that Prabhupada was not empowered enough to turn a woman into a Vaishnavi, that he could, only the men got it and the woman couldn't. That means, we say when we offer our food to God, we offer cauliflower. So even a cauliflower becomes blessed, sacred, right?
Especially if it's Bakura.
and if that can be done, and then we say, the Sudras become Vaishnavas, they can transform because it's a spiritual mercy and kindness and knowledge and understanding. But the woman can't. So this is like, so it doesn't even, it's not even common sense if you understand this much of the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. It doesn't even.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is there a distinction in this regard with Diksha and Shiksha? Or
Okay, so let's go back now to that question that you said of
Right.
the list.
Yes, because this question is very pertinent to what the decision of the GBC was in this regard. Yeah.
So Diksha and Shiksha. Diksha means getting initiated, that the guru initiates a disciple into the philosophy and life of Krishna consciousness and gives them transcendental knowledge, so that disciple actually starts becoming saintly by his practice and following of the guru. So Shiksha basically means that someone is inspired by someone who gave them some divya gyan or transcendent knowledge. And I'm inspired by so-and-so, whoever it is. They don't have to be officially gurus.
So the Shiksha, the literal translation is teacher.
Teacher. Yeah, it's not so much like spiritual master guru.
Or like
teacher.
head priest.
But that's only a formality. The point is, if they're giving divya gyan, they're giving transcendental knowledge, and they're imparting that in your heart, and you're inspired, you also start becoming saintly. So there is no difference, really. And actually, according to some, even Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he gave more attention to his Shiksha guru more than his Diksha. And his Shiksha guru, the teacher, is actually in the line of disciplic succession rather than his Diksha guru. And Prabhupada mentioned many times Diksha is a formality.
Well, here's a quote from Srila Prabhupada regarding that. According to Shastric injunctions, there is no difference between Shiksha and Diksha guru. And later, generally, the Shiksha guru then becomes the Diksha guru. Suniti, however, and Prabhupada actually goes on another place to say that it is actually an offense to consider. It is a Vaishnava aparad to consider Diksha and Shiksha to be different.
But they're not synonyms at the same time, and they're the same, but there is some difference.
Yeah,
Otherwise, there wouldn't be
I
two
think
there's
terms.
simultaneously one and different. Go
the
ahead.
difference is in the formality,
Right.
because it's not
Okay.
in the heart. The heart is the same. If I'm taking shiksha from you guys, you're my shiksha gurus.
Make sure you collect the money,
Yeah.
Garsh.
Well, you're teaching me. We
Right.
teach. So that it's a matter of the heart. You cannot legislate someone's spiritual feelings and prayers and feelings for God or service to God. You can't legislate. You can't minimize it, and you don't have a monopoly on it. No one can have a monopoly on bhakti. Bhakti is the bhakti yoga, the yoga of loving God. No one can have a monopoly on bhakti yoga, on loving God. An individual, every single individual across the universe is different. They don't have to be Hare Krishnas. They have their relationship with God, and it's sacred, and it's a sacred bond. And they have their teachers that's their sacred bond. That's their inspiration. That's their spiritual knowledge.
So you're saying that God is polyamorous?
God is poly everything.
I like that.
Yeah.
So back to the decision. What recently came down, so we can really get to the heart of the matter.
Yeah. Well, I understand that they said that they're going to wait. Of course, we're all like,
So this is a decision that was waiting for 3 years.
20 years.
Well, 20
actually, I
years,
believe
but
it
since the last meeting, they said we're going to review it for the next 3 years.
Mhm.
And the question is, can women in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness become Diksha gurus or initiating gurus, have their own disciples? And there was a general consensus amongst a good percentage of leaders that yes, according to our Siddhanta, according to our philosophy, which we're going to get into, that there's no distinction between men and women. It is, Lord Chaitanya said, whoever understands the science of Krishna,
Mhm.
such a person can become guru. It's not male tattva, it's not bodily tattva, it's guru tattva. It's tattva, which is truth, which transcends any type of material designation, such as man, woman, rich, poor, anything like that. So they said that, so many devotees understood this, but there was a great pushback from the Indian Bureau, which was a group of leaders in India that felt it would be detrimental to the cult, to people would not take them seriously in India. And they also, many of them had, which we'll reveal later, some pretty deep-seated issues with women, and women being intelligent and having positions, women actually expressing their intelligence and leadership capabilities they had. We'll reveal some of those things later. But so they waited 3 years, and then it just recently, I think in the last few weeks, the decision came down. And what was that decision?
So, well, as far as I understand, because I don't have it in front of me, the exact list.
Yeah, we could
But one of them is
Cliff Notes.
one of them is that that they are saying, legislating that women cannot be gurus right now. They have to review for another however long,
100,000 years.
because they still want to find out the understanding of what Prabhupada really wanted, which is false, because most of them have already agreed.
So they
that
couldn't
it's a-
figure it out in 3 years.
Yeah, but no, this is an excuse because of
It's called the delay tactic.
It's not a philosophical problem anymore. It's a political
Of course,
problem.
of course.
And that this other group is holding back these expensive multi-million-dollar temples and saying we're going to leave your ISKCON and create our own separate. And that would be kind of devastating to Prabhupada's mission that he established.
So let's
these
back up
things,
just
but
a little bit. So
It's blackmail.
exactly. So it's blackmail. You could say it's a coup
Mhm.
of sorts. So, but just to back up a bit, so they said the GBC actually had made a decision a few years
Yes.
ago saying that women, and I remember speaking to Brahmatirtha about this, who was very involved at that time. And, he's pretty balanced, he's trained as a mediator and whatnot. And the GBC realized that there is a cultural issue in India. And even Prabhupada, I'll read a letter where Prabhupada recognized that and made some adjustments in India. He said, because that is the etiquette, they would not take us seriously. So okay, we're going to make a consideration. In India, won't be allowed, but everywhere else, women can become guru. And the Indian Bureau, from what I understand, or this group of leaders, they said no. If you do it anywhere, it's people are going to see that, and then they threatened to, we will split off from the society and take all our big temples and
Yeah.
big money with us.
So that's the blackmail.
That's the blackmail.
that if you
But
do-
aren't there
Even though
women-
they're not black males. Okay, sorry, bad joke.
Yeah.
aren't there women gurus in India?
Yes,
Like
there,
other
of course there are.
traditions?
And Pranada gave an expert, my friend and god sister, she gave an expert explanation on a few podcasts about this.
Yeah.
And she gave a whole list of
Oh, yeah.
Gaudiya Vaishnavas and all
Oh
that.
yeah, there's many
Vaishnavis.
prominent
Yeah.
in our line. I have a list of just a few of them, but
So
I'm sure her list is very comprehensive.
one thing I'd like to give an example of how things will look different in the West than the Indian cultural traditions. Tulsi Devi, we have a plant called Tulsi, and we consider her, she's holy basil. She's part of the holy basil family. And we, as devotees, we say Krishna happens to like Tulsi. So we honor her very much. And so Tulsi plant, if you look at Tulsi plant in the Indian soil, she can grow. She's very hardy, and she grows out of a little can I've seen on a balcony in Delhi with the trucks and buses, all the fumes going by. And she grows huge with a big, strong stem and hardy leaves. They're more leathery and small. Here in America, when we plant Tulsi in American soil, she looks more like the basil plant. And sometimes people get confused, but it's all in the same, they're like cousins or whatever. But, she's the holy basil. She's all like more flowy, and the leaves are big and soft, and the stems are thin. Usually it's hard to get a thick stem in America. So Prabhupada transplanted again, transcendence in an Indian package in America. When he transplanted this philosophy, he transplanted it in American soil, and it's going to look different than it does from the traditional
Great analogy.
cultural thing. It's going to look different, but it's still sacred Tulsi. The sacredness doesn't disappear. The sacredness doesn't diminish. It's the nutrients in the soil. It's just the different ways of thinking that Westerners have. It doesn't mean that now that it became a Western culture and now it's contaminated. It's just we are different, and everyone is different. You transplant Krishna consciousness in Africa, and the dancing is going to be really ecstatic. The music and dancing. So everyone has. It's different, but it's still sacred Tulsi. So the philosophy is the transcendence aspect, not the cultural and tradition. So going back to the GBC's resolution, number one, they said woman cannot initiate. Number two, we want to give them some, because everyone's going to go up in arms about this, and they are. Many people are up in arms about this, rightfully so. So we're going to give some concession that will make the Shiksha Guru, will give more credence and more respect. We'll do something to make a Shiksha Guru have like some position. But we will have to watch who can be a Shiksha Guru now. So it's only more control.
Yeah.
They're on one hand, they're saying, we'll give the Shiksha Gurus more credence and more appreciation and some position.
It's another control
But
mechanism.
it's just another control mechanism, and
Yeah.
it will not work. And then they said for women and men.
I mean, are they doing that purposely to have another control mechanism, or that it's just what will occur?
Yeah, I don't want to say.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to totally criticize, and say they know about that and that's. But I think they're some part sincerely trying to figure out how can we pacify
Yeah.
the woman and those who think that women.
And they're not going to be able to,
And
because
they're gonna be
it's against the Shastra, it's against Srila Prabhupada, it's against the Siddhanta. Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 147. There is no difference between initiating and instructing spiritual master, or the Shiksha and Diksha Guru, And if one sees a difference, one commits an offense in devotional service. So therefore, my words now, if a woman can be an instructing guru, a shiksha guru, then on what sound, in what reality, what sound ontological reason, based on Shastra and Srila Prabhupada's teachings and directives, can she not be a Diksha or initiating guru? There's no Siddhantic,
There's no-
philosophical, ontological, common sense reason. It's not bodily tattva, it's guru tattva.
So this is
So they're not going to be able to pass because people can see, devotees can see through it.
it's actually a philosophy that is less intelligent. I'm sorry.
Well,
to say,
it's
you know?
opposite. It's a philosophical. It's a philosophical error. It's based on institutional cultural considerations, not based on tattva. So, which raises the elephant in the room question, which is, what is our mission to promote an institution or to promote truth and the philosophical underpinnings of that truth? And if we're meant to promote the philosophical underpinnings and essence of truth, then what business do we have making decisions that are based solely on the institution and blackmail by people that have a powerful position, which is essentially a coup in a spiritual organization, which is what is happening.
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of plain and simple.
It comes natural because those who have the intention to want to help Prabhupada's mission continue to expand with the truth, with the right ways, with all-inclusiveness that Prabhupada gave and no bodily consciousness that Prabhupada gave us. That's we have to speak out. We have no, it's our duty. We have no other option really. And like I said, I have no personal interest in the whole matter, but I have my interest is that Prabhupada's mission is becoming dissolved. His intentions are dissolved into a quasi-Indian.
Let's hear his intentions. In other words, was Prabhupada ever asked this question? And he was. So I'm going to read again. I'm going to read a letter that Rupanuga, very senior disciple of Prabhupada that was there from the beginning, almost the beginning, 1966. He wrote to the GBC, and the title of the letter was, "It's all about qualification, not gender or vox populi." In a conversation, so this is regarding, was Prabhupada ever directly asked the question? So we're going to address that. In a conversation with Professor O'Connell on June 18th, 1976 in Toronto, Srila Prabhupada explains that on the spiritual platform, there is no distinction between classes. By one who is actually learned, he is actually the same, Samadarshana. He does not make any distinction. But as far as our material body is concerned, there must be some distinction for keeping the society in order. He explained to a lady present that because of the superficial bodily distinction, women and men may be kept separately, otherwise the rights are the same. Professor O'Connell then asks, is it possible, Swamiji, for a woman to become guru in the line of disciplic succession? This is the only time Srila Prabhupada was ever asked this question directly. And Srila Prabhupada answers yes, and gives Janavi Devi, the wife of Nityananda, as an example in the disciplic succession. Quote, if she is able to go to the highest perfection of life, why is it not possible to be guru? But not so many. But not so many could, go ahead.
Yeah, I have that in my notes.
Okay.
Not so many.
Right.
This has been a thing that's been misquoted so many times. Prabhupada said not so many. The question was,
Has there been examples?
Has there been examples?
Right. There were.
And not so many,
Right.
but they're using that, even
Right.
those who are, unfortunately, even those who are like wanting women to be gurus and understanding that's important.
Right.
They even are saying, well, maybe not so many.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what is this? What is this?
Prabhupada would not say something that would be
minimizing.
There were not so many female gurus there were way more men, gurus in the line, but there were many prominent females.
Yes.
So then he goes on to say that any man or woman who is qualified can become guru. Srila Prabhupada asks, in our material world, is it any prohibition that women cannot become professor? If she is qualified, then she can become professor. What is the wrong there? I mean, Prabhupada's making it so clear. She must be qualified. That is position. It's basic philosophical, spiritual common sense. And then, so similarly, Prabhupada ends with saying, so similarly, if the woman understands Krishna consciousness perfectly, she can become guru.
Yes.
End of story.
End of story.
Now, I'm going to bring up later, but I'm going to please continue what the main arguments were from the GBC, what the main quotes they used to establish their position for the other side. And then we'll look at those, but please continue.
Okay. So when Prabhupada said not so many, he was definitely speaking from the past. There were not so many.
Right.
And why? Because they weren't given an opportunity to even get educated.
Right.
Most of them were, the culture was different. And now we have, and when does Prabhupada ever minimize his interest or his passion for minimizing preaching mission? No, he's always expanding. And in another place, I don't remember where, I'm sorry, but along with this, he said, we need anyone who can give Krishna consciousness to others. We need them to be active, actively sharing, preaching, whatever. So that's there. And another thing that was misunderstood, and it's a common thing that I've been hearing in a few podcasts recently also, is that Prabhupada said to Jamuna, there's this, someone mentioned in a podcast, so I just want to clarify this because it was quoted wrong. Jamuna was with Prabhupada in Vrindavan when the new temple was getting built, Krishna Balaram temple, and he had her involved in much of the management of that. He was trusting her with a lot of, ideas for that. She was having a hard time with the men. The men were giving her a very hard time. So she went to Prabhupada, they were talking, and Prabhupada said, I would make you GBC, but the men would not agree, and they will get upset, so I can't. Now, that quote ended up being in, now is quoted as, I would make you GBC, but you're a woman, so you can't.
Yeah, that's
It was
how
because the men would not accept. And anyway, that's why she ended up asking Prabhupada if she could leave and be separate, because she said, Prabhupada, the men are just so hard on me and I can't handle this. It's too much. They're not accepting. And she was an intelligent, powerful, strong, devoted, saintly woman who was qualified. So I just wanted to clarify those. It wasn't because she was a woman that she couldn't be GBC. He wanted to make her GBC, but the men would not accept, and he didn't want to cause all kinds of controversy at the time. Same thing with women can't be pujaris in India or other places. Only in Vrindavan and Mayapur, maybe a few other places where the pandits are very strict. He said, let's not disturb their minds, so we won't have the woman go on the altar. Yeah. These are time, place, circumstances. This is not the principle of Krishna consciousness.
So I'm going to present the other side.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Trust me, man.
We trust you.
The other.
I'm not as biased
as
as I may appear.
Oh, Prabhu, Vaishnava, we trust you.
Oh, thank you. Be careful. So Rupanuga goes on to explain that, so it's a matter of qualification. And Prabhupada gave, he made some strictures back and during that time that, okay, he wanted his devotees to get varying type of degrees in Vedic learning, in Gaudiya Siddhanta learning. He had already indicated his plans in a letter to Hamsaduta back in December 3rd, 1968, when she wrote about a series of examinations, in one entitled Bhaktivedanta. One, Prabhupada said, one who will pass this examination will be awarded the title of Bhaktivedanta. I want all my spiritual sons and daughters.
Yes.
I want all my spiritual masters' sons and daughters. This is a very important, quintessential point.
Yeah.
Everyone pay attention. We will quiz you. One who will pass this examination will be awarded the title Bhaktivedanta. I want all my spiritual sons and daughters will inherit this title of Bhaktivedanta so that the family transcendental diploma will continue through the generations. Let me continue. This is another very quintessential point. Those possessing the title of Bhaktivedanta will be allowed to initiate disciples. Maybe by 1975, all of my disciples will be allowed to initiate and increase the numbers of the generations. How more clear can that get? I want all my spiritual sons and daughters will inherit the title of Bhaktivedanta after they pass these
Bhakti, Bhakti Shastra.
Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhava, one more, and then Bhaktivedanta. When they've learned all the nectar of instruction, nectar of devotion, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srimad Bhagavatam,
They do a
Bhagavad Gita.
thorough study,
Right.
and they understand
And they're
it.
tested on it.
And-
And so, because Prabhupada wanted our society to be the society of learned teachers, of Brahmins, of wise, learned, saintly people, not just sentimentalists, but learned in the philosophy. So, and then he said, again, I'll repeat it, those possessing the title of Bhaktivedanta, my sons and daughters, will be allowed to initiate disciples.
He says, "My sons and daughters" again. Or
No,
you
I
threw
just
that
threw that in again
Yeah.
Okay.
for posterity.
It's- so that we get it. We got to get it.
Yeah.
Right.
Huh.
Right.
Yeah, and in that line, one time, what Prabhupada wanted was, which was brilliant to spread Krishna consciousness, was that after you get this title and this qualification that goes along with the title, go out and make your own projects and preach Krishna. That's the society of Krishna consciousness. The going into the society and figuring out how to get people according to time, place, and circumstance, and what country you're in. Talk to your people. Prabhupada once said, the American people are intelligent. You know how to speak to your people. So don't just parrot me, but you know how to speak, talk their language, talk
Right.
their mood.
And it's interesting.
them to our
It's
track.
interesting. In the Kastuba and Raghunath are doing an amazing job at Wisdom of the Sages, really reaching people.
Yeah.
All kudos to them. And in their groups, they have about a few hundred people, 200 to 300 people that are in their groups in their community, although many more people listen to them. They did a survey. What are the two most concerning things that disturb your mind in this process? Because these are all semi-new people to the path of Bhakti Yoga, path of Krishna consciousness. And the first thing was not having enough association with other devotees. And the second thing was that disturbed them most, out of a litany of many, that this issue of women's position in the society. So, okay, it's not a feminist consideration. It's a I mean, although there might be some aspects to that of can be a hardcore feminist, but this is really about a philosophical issue of qualification and being able to recognize people. As Prabhupada stated, it's clear that the GBC in their decision is not following Prabhupada's directives. And that is concerning.
And it hurts all of us.
Yes.
It's hurting. It's
Yes.
hurting Prabhupada's
There's so the institutional considerations have superseded the philosophical considerations and Prabhupada's directives. And
It's
that's
also-
dangerous.
It's also hurting women who could become Krishna conscious, who are getting turned off by this.
Exactly.
It's like a
And that's a
very
super
intelligent.
important consideration.
intelligent men who think, what kind of
Yes.
So Prabhupada was a long time ago. Rukmini told me this. Rukmini in Urban Devi Rukmini in upstate. No, she's in
New York City.
New York City. Yeah. And
Although she lives
has
in
a
DC.
wonderful project of Urban Devi, and if someone wants to look that up for ladies, it's beautiful. She was in a room when she was only 17 years old with Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was talking to several men and women, boys and girls in those days, and he said, "I want you all to learn this philosophy nicely, and then you all go out and make your own temples,
Right.
like start your own
I
temples."
remember this, yeah.
And she said, "Prabhupada, the girls too?" And Prabhupada said, "Yes, why not?" 17-year-old girls. And I have a letter from Srila Prabhupada that I was telling you a little bit about my history when I first came. At 16 years old, got married when I was 17, took my husband took the renounced order when I was 19. And, so that was 72. And that was just when they started coming down that woman can't give classes and all these things. So I was very like, what am I doing with my life? Like I just gave up my husband. I mean, we were friends, but yeah, it was hard. So I thought, what am I supposed to do now? And so I wrote to Prabhupada a letter.
And you've been married for many years now, right?
Now,
Yeah,
yes, with
yeah.
my second husband. Yeah. And yeah. And I had 3 kids that because I wasn't allowed to give Krishna consciousness to others and without a lot of difficulty and red tape, I gave it all to my kids. And I have to say,
Well, that paid off wonderfully.
I'm very pleased with them,
Yeah.
very happy with my kids. So anyway,
And you have grandchildren.
yes,
Yes.
coming up there. So what was I? So I wrote a letter to Prabhupada and I said, Srila Prabhupada, basically, these are the words. I said, I'm 19 years old. My husband just took sannyas, so he's gone. He's not with me. He's preaching renounced. And I want to know, is it okay if I study your books very seriously and really, understand your philosophy and then be able to give classes in your temples? I was very specific. And help your mission grow through preaching. Now I call it sharing. I don't like to say preaching because,
teaching,
but teaching. And sharing. And yeah. So I asked that question and he wrote back a very nice letter. I have it. He said that, first of all, concentrate on the holy name. And then he mentioned how, the holy name is our strength. Basically, we're going to get the mercy and the blessings through the holy name of God by repeating it, praying.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Look at that smile.
Ram means pleasure. Ram means the Supreme Lord in his pleasure potency. So anyway, yeah, so he said, concentrate on the holy name, and that's where you get your strength. And then he said, there's another thing he said, but I'm going to get to the point. Then he said, if you follow these and if you read nicely and chant nicely, you will become a great preacher. You will set a great example for our society and you will have great success. So he's telling a 19-year-old girl, not just, yes, you can do it, it's okay. Like, I'll give you the concession because you're asking. It wasn't like he's saying, yes, and be great. Do it wonderfully. Be powerful and great. And, he one time he asked Jamuna to give a class in public in India on this, hundreds and hundreds of people were in the audience. And he had her give the class while he's sitting there. And then at the end, he patted her on the back and said, you're a very bold preacher for Krishna. And he was happy. So he's telling this 19-year-old girl who has no man in front of her, which is what the other party is saying, that every woman has to have a man controlling her. And even she doesn't need to get initiated, they're claiming. She just needs a man.
It even goes
telling
beyond
her what
that.
to do. Yeah, it goes
the
beyond.
underbelly of it, but we'll get into
Yeah,
that.
so he's telling me as a 19-year-old girl, go do this and be great and preach, and you can give classes in my temples and you will have great success. Now, I didn't do it. I have to admit. I mean, I didn't do it, and I wish I had done it, but I wasn't.
But you did it
strong
with your
enough.
kids.
I wasn't strong enough to maneuver all the red tape that was kept putting in front of me. You can't do this, you can't do that, putting me down. And that was hard. So that's why I ended up getting married. I wasn't interested to get married. I wasn't interested to have kids, really. I just wanted to share Krishna consciousness. But I did all those things just to stay in Prabhupada's mission and be able to be a little independent. Like I purposefully thought that in around 1980. I figured, gurus were falling down. I mean, there was a whole thing going on. And I thought, where am I going to fit in now? I want to stay in Prabhupada's mission, but I don't want to be controlled by this hierarchy. So anyway, that's Prabhupada was telling this 19-year-old girl. So he's telling all
Yeah, and he's
younger
saying here,
men,
I
anyone.
want all of
Yeah.
my disciples
to
to be educated in the Shastra, learned, and boys and girls, all my disciples have this title, Bhaktivedanta.
Mhm.
It's our family legacy, and become initiating spiritual masters. He said it. We're not making it up. It's right there.
But at the same time, you could say also that he saw that in you, that he felt that you in particular could do that. Not that other women or other men couldn't do it, but he felt that
he did
that you
bless
could do
me.
it.
He
Yeah.
did bless me. When we were taking sannyas, we were in Prabhupada's room with my first husband, and we were talking. We asked him,
And your first husband is Sridananda.
Hridayananda
Sridananda
Maharaj.
Maharaj. Yes.
Who was on our show, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just was at his class this morning. He's a great guy.
He's a good guy. Yeah. Yeah. Prabhupada was so kind. Anyway, he blessed me in amazing ways. And again, I take that he blessed all of us in amazing ways. I have a funny story.
Go ahead.
When
We like Gargs. Do we like funny stories?
Yes. Laughing is fun.
Yes, I agree. When I was here in Gainesville, we helped start the Gainesville,
Oh, really?
Florida
Okay.
temple. Yeah. Amarendra was here first with his wife, Gayatri, and then we were sent to come and help because they were brand new devotees. So we came here to Gainesville, Florida, and it was fun running the temple, doing everything, and all together. Again, it was a really family atmosphere, and we all got along well. So when I was getting brought, we invited Prabhupada to come here. You must know that, 71, I think it was, and the summer of 71, and I was new. I mean, I was only a devotee for a year, and they wanted me to get initiated. I got my initiation through letter from Prabhupada, and then it was a month later he came, and they wanted me to get Brahmin. So they told me, go in Prabhupada's room. He wants to give you the Brahmin initiation. So I walked in the room and I'm sitting there alone. And he said, sit down. He was very grave. Sit down. So I sit down and I felt like a little puppy dog. Like I was all excited, but, I wasn't taking it so seriously. But he said, sit down. He was serious. So I became a little serious. And then he said, repeat after me. And he started going, the mantra, Om, Bor, Bhuva, Swa. So I got the first few words. We didn't know that much Sanskrit in those days, at least.
It's supposed to be
I
a secret
wasn't
mantra.
A scholar. Part of it. Part of it is secret and sacred. But so I was trying to say it, and then he got, Bhuva, Swa, Tat, Savitor. And I couldn't repeat. I didn't understand. I couldn't. So I kind of stopped and Prabhupada said, repeat. I said, repeat. And I'm like,
That's too funny.
and so then again, I tried again. Om, Bor, Bhuva, Swa, got all confused after that. And then he said, they did not give you a paper to read? I said, no, Prabhupada, no one gave me a paper to read. Like, I didn't know what was supposed to go on, right? I go, Prabhupada, no one gave me a paper. And he said, never mind. He said, Hridayananda will give this mantra to you tomorrow. And then you can go. Like he dismissed me with his hand. So I got up. I was feeling foolish, but I got up and I'm walking backwards because I didn't want to turn my back on him. So I have my hands folded and I'm going, thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm walking backwards. And then he grabbed this huge garland off his desk and he made this huge smile ear to ear on his face. And he went like this. And he threw the garland at me, and I catch the garland. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, thank you. So that was my Brahmin initiation.
Wow.
And I want to say,
I mean, that's
now this could
so
be
amazing.
This could be okay. Then the next day, Prabhupada had left, and the next day, Hridayananda was doing a little fire yajna. There was a couple getting married, and I was the Brahmin, initiation. So they have a fire yajna, a fire sacrifice. It's sacrificing grains into a fire with lots of prayers. So that to kind of consummate the initiation and the marriage. So there wasn't, we were such a little rinky-dink preaching center. We didn't know what we were doing half the time. So there weren't enough bananas to put in the fire. There's supposed to be bananas.
What city was it in?
Gainesville.
Oh, in Gainesville. That's right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And it was right near where the Jones restaurant used to be.
Right.
behind the police station there.
Oh, really?
Now it's just a big parking lot where the temple was. Yeah.
The Jones East Side you're talking about?
They used to have it.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
it's gone, but it was a
Right.
vegetarian restaurant later.
Right,
Anyway,
yeah.
that was the area. But anyway, so there was not enough bananas to go around. They gave me a banana and they gave the husband of the groom the banana. So I gave my banana. I thought, I don't need a banana. So I gave my banana to the
Because the bananas are put in the fire.
yes,
Yeah.
the bride to finish the ceremony. At the end, you put a fruit in the thing, and there were bananas. They happened to be bananas. So I gave my banana to her, and I didn't care, So then I thought later, I'm thinking, I didn't get the mantra from Prabhupada. I didn't have a banana. So do you say that I'm not a Brahmin? Not that I'm not a Brahmin by qualification. I know that. But I mean, Prabhupada accepted me with that smile and that garland.
Yeah.
And that is my relationship with Prabhupada and Krishna, that the formalities are not so important. The traditions, the cultural aspect, it can be nice, but it's not essential. And the essential is the truth of the soul loving God with no ego. You have to drop the ego, drop the material conceptions, because that's where the ego comes from. I need to look better than someone else. Actually, to me, that's the greatest sin, if you want to call something a sin. It's the greatest offense and sin is when I think that I'm better than someone else and I can't learn from you, or I can't learn from anyone, can't learn from my own children. What kind of life? It must be a very sad life to think that you can't learn from anyone and everyone.
Actually, in the Manashiksha by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Pratishta, which is this particular spiritual malaise of wanting honor for oneself, which is the symptom of that is thinking that I'm better than others.
Mhm.
That is the Srila Bhaktivinoda said that is the greatest pitfall, because it really can happen to people that have great spiritual qualifications, but then start thinking, oh, I'm so great, I'm so learned.
What did they say about me?
Oh yeah. What did they say?
Did they say anything about me?
They said that that you're a very advanced soul.
What else?
I know that.
We know that. We all know that. We all agree. But that's interesting that it's the greatest pitfall, because the point is that as you get transcendental knowledge, you can go either way. You either really decide that this is blessings from above, this knowledge that I have, the way I can do anything, anything that I'm kind of good at or whatever. That's blessings from above. That's my gift from Krishna, and I have to use it for him. Or you can go the other way, where you start realizing, wow, I just spoke so nicely, or I know this, or I remember that verse, and I'm good at this. And then you start thinking it's you.
Mm.
And that's the ego.
Mm.
And that's where the pitfall is, because you're close to God. When you're learning knowledge of God, how many priests and other people in the world and gurus and other get too on their high horses.
And it's
start
always I'm sorry.
thinking,
go ahead.
no, go ahead. I'm closer to God than anyone else.
Yeah, and that because our tendency is to be envious of God. That's why we are separated from God. Where we are not with God, with Krishna in the spiritual realm. There's this tendency, our misuse of free will, to envy. So therefore, what does it become to envy God? I want to be God. I want to be the great one, the powerful one, the learned one, the beautiful one.
Look at all those planets God has. If I could just have one. Why can't he give me one?
Yeah. So yeah, it's so as a striving spiritualist devotee of the Lord, it just behooves us to be super conscientious of our inner state in these things and really check it when it comes, and get into the humbler than a blade of grass, ready to offer all respects unto others mode as a check. So back to the issue at hand, if I may present the other side, as Garg said, in all fairness. So there was two, for people that were there at the meeting, GBC meeting, which people have shared this information with me, that there were two main verses or two main passages from Srila Prabhupada's books that the women cannot be Diksha Guru side presented. So I'm going to present those because it's good to know the opposition's arguments so we can basically refute them, show how they are.
Mhm.
Well, let's just look at them first. Because, they're statements that are valid in and of themselves. So the main one that they used was the Dhruva Maharaj Suniti pastime, where Dhruva Maharaj is a great devotee. I won't go into the whole story for brevity's sake, but for those in our tradition know the story. He was lived a very saintly life, very interesting story. But at the end of his life, he was going the Swan airplane came down from the Vaikuntha planets to take him back to the spiritual kingdom. And he was concerned that his mother wasn't going to be coming with him. And in that, without going into the details, I'm just going to read a verse here that is quoted. It's in Krishna book, just a summary of the 10th canto, where these pastimes are discussed and other pastimes. But so this is the verse that they use, the passage that they use. So the question was, could his mother, who was really his inspiration, it was because of her that he took to the spiritual path, and as a result went back to God, because of her impetus and instructions, his mother. So according to Shastra conjunctions, there's no difference between Shiksha and Diksha Guru. And later, generally, the Shiksha Guru becomes the Diksha Guru, which is very interesting. That's because that issue comes up in their discussions. They really made a big deal about the distinction, but Prabhupada's saying, sorry, no, we're not having that. Suniti, however, Suniti is Dhruva's mother, being in a family relation with Dhruva, and also a woman, could not become the Diksha Guru or the initiating Guru of Dhruva. So they go, just see, this one statement shows that she can't become, a woman cannot become Guru. Now, however, if you really look at this, there is what's called in this, and I learned this from analyzing it from Kastuba Prabhu, a very wise, saintly person who's you could say, philosophical head of the Bhakti Center. And he said that this is, he pointed out that this is what's called the is-ought error. And according to Wikipedia, the is-ought error or fallacy occurs in debate when a speaker tries to derive a value judgment or moral obligation ought directly from a factual descriptive claim. Well, what does that mean? In other words, because she couldn't be a spiritual master according to the familial relationship, therefore, this must always be like that for all time, everywhere, in every circumstance. No, it's a one-off situation that's being described, and they're trying to extrapolate that and project that onto a universal law. It's not a universal law. Prabhupada did not make that conjecture. He said quite the opposite. Prabhupada never said after that the edict that women therefore can never become guru. He didn't make that a principle, or it's not a universal law. And it's very interesting to note that in the, right. So in the, what I was reading was the original dictation. I'm sorry. In the actual verse that was the translation given by the BBT is Dhruva's Suniti. However, Suniti, Srila Prabhupada, I'm sorry, I'm getting confused here.
That's okay.
But the original transcription of Prabhupada says that Suniti, however, being in a familial relationship with Dhruva and also a woman, could not become Diksha Guru. So Prabhupada's emphasis was on familial relationships. Therefore, she could not become Guru because it was too much of a familiar connection. So, but the point is that you can't take that isolated incident and say over so many things that I've stated. Prabhupada saying, asked by the professor, can women become gurus? Prabhupada said yes, according to qualification. But Prabhupada, in a letter to Hamsaduta, I want all my disciples, men and boys and girls, sons and daughters, he said, to become initiating gurus.
Well, another point is you can't transpose one cultural moment in antiquity, and we don't know exactly what this whole situation
Exactly.
was back then, and put it here. You know, you find something they did
Yeah.
a certain way, then you don't know all the particulars
But
about it, and
I
you
think-
say,
Yeah, I think what you're both kind of getting at is that someone has to understand the whole intention and mood of what Prabhupada has done overall.
Exactly.
right,
All of his philosophy,
Right.
and you have to put it together. You can't extrapolate one little
One and
sentence
even
or-
in that one,
and then
exactly.
make that an absolute truth.
Right,
Because
but- and it-
Prabhupada himself is saying, I worked according to time, place, and circumstance.
right.
And-
And people tend to filter things according to their own confirmation bias. You know,
And I'm not sure, but okay, so I just want to ask something like, wasn't it Bhaktivinoda Thakur who didn't initiate Bhakti Siddhanta because of the familial, they were father and son?
Right. So
And-
there, the familial thing is what
But
Prabhupada
it's almost
emphasized.
like, it's almost like, kind of like in this quote, it's almost like they're using the idea that she is a mother. So because she's a mother, she's mother of everyone, and therefore she cannot initiate. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
she's only the mother of Dhruva, and otherwise. But anyway, that's
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah, and these are
yeah.
they use one or two isolated things
Mhm.
over the predominance of evidence and the Siddhanta, which is clear.
Mhm.
Prabhupada writes in December 2nd, 1975 to Tushta Krishna, my dear Tushta Krishna Swami, please accept my obeisances, my blessings. Please accept my blessings. I beg to acknowledge receipt of your letter. Every student is expected to become acharya. Prabhupada didn't say every male student, not female. Every student is expected to become
Every
acharya.
white bald student.
Yes. Every student from America. No, he said every student
with a ponytail.
With a acharya means one who knows the scriptural injunctions and follows them practically in life and teaches them to his disciples. So, it's clear the tremendous predominance of Prabhupada's statements were clear, and the philosophical understanding is clear. It's based on qualification. Lord Chaitanya made that
And ultimately,
very clear.
you can't institutionalize what a guru is.
Right.
You know.
Krishna says, Ye Krishna Tattvaveta Satagunahaya. One who knows the science of Krishna can become guru. But then he didn't say only if they're in a male body. No, he didn't.
Mhm.
So
And yeah, and this thing about qualification, as we all already spoke about, how when Prabhupada mentioned that when he was asked by the professor, can women be gurus? And he answered that yes. And then he gave the example of Janava Devi. So they're using that and saying, well, a woman, if she wants to be guru, she has to be on the level of Janava Devi.
No.
Whereas like the men don't.
no, but Prabhupada did. But, but
so
Prabhupada
it's
didn't say that.
like, no,
Prabhupada didn't
Yeah.
say that. He said you take these different
that
examinations.
was an example.
Yeah,
Yes.
of course, but it's a fallacious argument.
Yeah,
Because
fallacious.
Prabhupada did not state that.
Mhm.
He said he used her as an example of a woman, but he stated, I want all my sons and daughters
Mhm.
to inherit the title of Bhaktivedanta. And you take these successive tests, the successive learning process. And then eventually I want all of you to become initiating, so you can spread this mission, not just for the sake of prestige, because we see that it's hampering the mission in the West. Like Kalakanta lives here. He sees that he's the head of the Krishna House on the University of Florida campus, and he's very pained about this because he sees so many women are being held back by understanding this almost like misunderstanding. So something I wanted to bring up in terms of a kind of a metaphor, not a metaphor, but looking at how this relates to modern society right now. So, there's the whole DEI thing. So essentially DEI is hiring people based on their gender, their race, just like, for instance, in DC, there was the biggest spill of sewage into the Potomac River recently. And the head of the waste management, he was very proud a few months ago and saying, basically no more white people working for us. We only have people of color. So DEI is based on color of skin, gender, and not meritocracy. And as a result, the result has been disastrous. And we saw that in DC. We also saw that in the airplane industry. We have to have quotas for how many people of color. No, it's never based on that. It should be based on a person's qualifications. So this whole decision by the GBC it's a DEI decision. And all these men I know their core values, from what I understand, is very against the whole DEI concept. But yet they're acting in a way supporting DEI, which is, as Martin Luther King said, you judge a person by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. So what to speak of in spiritual life, and he was speaking from a spiritual platform, but Lord Chaitanya said, qualification for guru is one who knows the science of God, the science of Krishna, not based on the bodily consideration. And so they have made a gross misstep, maybe India as Prabhupada said, for etiquette, but to say that if you do it anywhere else in the world, we're going to have a coup and we're going to blackmail you and we're going to separate from us, going to take all our millions of dollars in temples. I'm sorry, that's bogus.
And we all know it, and they know it.
Yeah.
But they're caught.
Yeah.
Or they feel like they have to be caught, unfortunately.
So any
Why don't
thoughts
we-
on that, Gargs?
Yeah, I mean, why doesn't JBC just call their bluff and say, go ahead and do it and just depend on Krishna?
Right. Why not? Because because institutional considerations are superseding the
Mhm.
truth.
Prabhupada said,
Siddhanta.
Krishna's a very rich man.
So-
He
so-
has all the wealth, right?
Therefore, I
So
say,
why should we care about that?
well,
I mean, it's also part of Prabhupada's legacy
Yes,
too,
right.
that there's so many.
It's
big-
a tough decision.
Right,
Let's
why
just
should we
say-
let
so that's
what-
it's a
if-
tough decision.
it's a
right?
tough
But if
decision.
blackmail is what's happening, why should we bow down to that?
Mhm.
Right.
Because they're only going to want more and more. And
Exactly.
that's what.
Once you give in, it's a slippery slope.
Mhm.
And the principle should be uphold truth and Siddhanta, which is the philosophical basis of truth in our tradition. Uphold that as the highest bar, as the highest parameter. Otherwise, everything will be compromised.
Of course, they may say that, we're following Prabhupada.
Oh, they think that. Of course, they.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's their intention. They're thinking, yeah, but it's.
But
I'm
we are-
sorry, but it's based on there is ego involved there, and it's.
Speaking of that, so I wanted to, and maybe you know some of these things also. So I was listening to Pranada,
Mm,
very, very knowledgeable very knowledgeable Vaishnavi in our tradition, and very qualified. And she was giving I'm not going to say too much, but you know these things as well, and maybe you can comment on it. But she, at the time when they were organizing I think it was called the ISKCON Women's Ministry
Mhm.
back in 1998, at the same time, the different leaders in India organized the GHQ, which is General Headquarters. And they had an email which was basically formed, not sure all the reasons, but it was formed. Some of the reasons were to really counter the rise of women's voices in the movement. And certain emails of their thread were leaked to her, and in 1998. For instance, some of the greatest saints in our movement, Jamuna, Vishaka, who's now the temple president at the Bhaktivedanta Manor, in their thread in 1998, these men, I'm not going to name names, Vishaka names names. I mean, excuse me,
Pranada.
names names. She's got a video out, you can look at the video. So these men are still active. They said that Jamuna and Vishaka, they described them as salacious, very derogatory, low class, sexually, connotation, and completely the opposite of their character.
What would Prabhupada think?
Oh, he would be
You know.
furious. They also described the ISKCON Women's Ministry as the ISKCON Whore Ministry.
Mhm.
They said that the International Women's Conference became the International Witches Conference. These things are all in their emails.
So,
And they
Were these emails leaked? How?
yes, they were leaked. They were leaked.
go ahead. You wanted to finish.
And they stated their mission. This
Get
is
me
their
there.
mission.
Go ahead, get me there.
Yeah, I want to get you fired up, girl. You go, girl. So their mission was, and they had 5 essential points. Again, and listen, we're not saying this it's revealing what's behind these decisions and the people that make these decisions, because as the old saying goes, you can't change the stripes on a tiger.
Mhm.
If somebody's feeling the way Vasha Ghosh was feeling back then, and
Yeah.
this is my, their Prabhupada came to establish Indian culture. Nah, sorry, pal.
I think people can change though.
People can change, but people can shift, but only if they're extremely self-reflective
Yes.
and really work on
Thank you.
themselves.
That's beautiful.
So their 5 points were to terminate the women's ministry.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay, that sounds like something that Prabhupada would really be for. Not. To make sure women cannot give class or lead kirtan.
Mhm.
Do you think Prabhupada would be for that?
I got a letter that he wasn't.
Exactly. To target men and women who support women's participation and undermine them with character assassination.
Just kill.
Sounds
Jeez.
like the whole Russian collusion thing.
It's like kill Prabhupada's legacy.
Yeah.
This is a list of how to kill.
Number 4, to research and write papers against women's participation. Number 5, to write a proposal to the GBC to limit service opportunity for women. So this is pretty hardcore,
What was
man.
the last one? Limit.
To write a proposal to the GBC to limit service opportunity for women.
So that's exactly one of the main points right there
Right.
I got to find out who these people
of
are.
what.
Don't name them now.
But
Yeah.
you can
Please.
listen to Pranarda's.
Yeah.
And Pranarda didn't reveal these things until after the GBT decision. She was playing, she was playing.
She was hoping and being a lady.
She was being
She
a
was-
gentle, like a
Gentle.
lady and a gentleman.
Yeah.
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 So, and
She felt like she had to present
yeah,
these
kudos to her
to
for,
help people
yeah.
see what is behind it, what is the intention.
Exactly.
And that's important. And then she did it eloquently without any personal ego involved. And that whole list is just personal ego. I mean, really, if you look at it.
Well, I would say-
Did one person write that though?
no, this is a number of
A group of
leaders.
Group of egos.
Yeah, a group of leaders.
But I mean, like they collaborated to.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So-
which is
Sounds like a conspiracy to
it's
me.
it's a conspiracy.
But it's a conspiracy fact.
Are there conspiracies? Yes. Do conspiracies exist? Yes. And conspiracy theories often turn into conspiracy facts, and this is one of them.
Mhm. So
Jeez.
when in the history of, or in the philosophy, or in the books, or in the, many lectures or letters that Prabhupada, take it all together. When is it that he's ever said, let us limit devotional service so that
Never.
we can control it better? When has he ever done that? Someone please let us know, because then we can either
No.
understand it or
He
we
spoke out because there were attempts to do that in centralizing things.
Yeah.
And as he said, Prabhupada never micromanaged anything.
never
He said he wanted his disciples to be independently
He was
thoughtful.
very angry with
Right.
one devotee who said something about let's centralize.
Exactly.
He said, no, each temple should be individually run.
This will destroy the individual spirit.
And yeah,
So you were mentioning and when we took a little break there, that you have a mission to encourage the women who's in many ways, some of them feel disheartened,
Mhm.
and I can understand why.
Mhm.
So maybe you could speak about that.
okay. Well, one thing is, and it started early on in our movement, even while Prabhupada was here, where they kind of wanted to stop calling women Prabhus, not accepting them as full-fledged disciples. And then when the influx of Indian people became very prominent in our movement. Nothing wrong with the Indian culture or their, but when it became very strong in our movement, then the woman started to be called Matajis. So they would literally, I remember many times you'd be in a group and they'd say, Mataji's over here, Prabhu's over here.
Oh, right.
The Vaishnavas here and the daughters of Prabhupada over here. We became relegated to only, and many sannyasis and other gurus, not many, but at least some, a good amount, have started to tell their disciples, never call another devotee, Vaishnavi or woman, Prabhu. Only call them only Mataji or daughter.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, that's a thing. I mean, and the disciples listened because that's their guru telling them. So they started doing that. So it became very prominent that, yes, Prabhupada did say sons and daughters once in a while.
Which
Prabhupada did mention Mataji in a purport somewhere.
Maybe, but he didn't call us that.
you have
Right,
the experience.
right.
You grew up with it.
He didn't call us that. He said the Prabhu, because he was establishing his movement as that we are all bona fide Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis.
It wasn't like
That was
a hard
an
and
important point.
wasn't hard and fast. In other words, he
Yeah, well,
anyway, by his
I don't
personal
know if
example.
person comes up and says
Right.
Mataji or whatever. But if you really think about it, every woman in the world is a Mataji or a daughter. And it doesn't
Right.
distinguish between, it's like apples and oranges. You're saying all the women are just Matajis and daughters.
Mataji means mother for those.
Mataji,
just
mother, yeah.
for clarification.
And so this is Prabhupada knew semantics. He knew that words are important. Words create a mood. Words create a mood and a thought, and that creates actions and behavior. So our movement at that time, when all this was more or less going on, the women were relegated to just being Matajis and daughters and women and ladies. And
But that didn't come from Prabhupada.
no, it didn't
Prabhupada-
come from Prabhupada, but
Yeah.
it was going on. And that was the same time they were saying you can't be in the temple room.
Right.
And that, like, as we were saying these things. So
I once called a devotee woman Mataji, and she was not pleased.
anyway,
She smacked you upside the face.
a mother, I don't care,
I know, but I'm saying
I
that some
don't
people.
use much Sanskrit, so
Yeah.
you don't have to comment. But the point, it's a philosophical point that Prabhupada did this on purpose to help establish his mission
Yes.
as bona fide.
Like
So
the
that's
mood
how
of Prabhu, the mood of calling each other Prabhu.
and the other mood, not just the mood of serving each other, that Prabhu means master of service, but that he was trying to teach the Indian leaders that this is an important point
Right.
to establish my mission. So anyway, so the words are important. And if they want to say Vaishnavis on this side, Vaishnavas on that side, that's fine.
Mm.
But anyway, and daughter, the word daughter, in they want to follow the people who are claiming that this is what we should only call Prabhupada disciples or grand disciples, daughters of Prabhupada. That the word, the relationship of daughter to a father in Vedic culture, Indian culture, usually the father has never takes from the daughter. He only gives to the daughter. He doesn't take. So my relationship with Prabhupada is that if I'm just a daughter, I don't have to pay him back. I just take everything that he's given and just enjoy because I'm just a daughter. But if I'm a disciple, if I consider myself a disciple of Prabhupada, I have a duty to pay him back. He gave me so much information, knowledge, mercy, kindness. I need to do that for others. Otherwise, what is my life worth? So
That's a good
you
point.
take that away from us? You can't take that away from
Although
us.
to be fair, my daughter has made me popcorn a few times in her life.
We're talking about like the Vedic culture where the father, even if he's in need, he won't go live in the daughter's house because he already gave her away. It's like a whole cultural thing.
Right.
So if you want to be so cultural, then you can't say we're just daughters because then you're not allowing Prabhupada to receive our service.
Mhm.
You're actually stopping Prabhupada from getting more served more. And that
So
this is
They're
so
trying to impose.
offensive.
They're trying to impose like a local culture onto a transcendental
Yeah.
movement. It's like in some countries they'll say uncle or auntie, you know.
Hmm. I mean, there's the informal aspect of Mataji or this or that, our daughter once in a while, but
Mhm.
to say just that is wrong. And anyway, that's
I'm going to share a very quick Prabhupada letter quote again.
uh-huh.
Again, keeping it in the perspective, what did Prabhupada say? What's Prabhupada's mood? And again, we've shared many, many quotes that proves that conclusively. Prabhupada, letter to Jennifer, Mexico City, February 15th, 1975. We are Vaishnavas. We are not concerned with male or female position in life. That is simply bodily concept of life. It is not spiritual. So they've made a decision that is, based on what Prabhupada said,
Not spiritual.
not spiritual. Good work, guys. Kudos to you.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a lot of faith in you now. Not. Better change your ways, fellas and ladies on the GBC. I'm sure she didn't vote that way. But this is a wake-up call for the governing body commission to look themselves in the mirror and going, what the hell are you guys doing?
Mhm.
You're destroying the faith of, you're not destroying, but you're damaging the faith of many people world who want to believe in the mission and the movement that Prabhupada created, want to be in that house, but the institutional mandates are now making it very difficult for people to reconcile. And the faith in the leadership is very damaged at this point.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that is unhealthy. So get your act together, fellas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And that can cause a revolution.
Buzz the
And-
chastiser.
And
Well, I'm not, and
this-
I'm not speaking like I'm a nobody. I'm an absolute nobody. I don't have any position. I'm just, some guy trying to be Krishna conscious and progress in my spiritual life and try to develop love for God. But because I understand that is the ultimate goal of life, what life is meant for. And I know personally how it's brought me massive inner enrichment. And I just want to keep going on that path. At the same time, we have to speak frankly for the sake of the mission, for the sake of Prabhupada's legacy. And that is the most important issue. So I'm not speaking as some guy with I'm speaking on behalf of Prabhupada's mission and his legacy. That's all.
Yeah, that's what we want our agenda to be.
Right.
It's not personal. It really isn't. In the way you were quoting many nice quotes and enlightening quotes, and the arguments can be there. They also quote, but it seems like they kind of pick and choose just certain quotes where they're isolated, like you mentioned before, isolated cases. So as Prabhupada mentioned, this is a mundane, when you have these intentions, it's a material thinking. So it's limiting conceptions of Varnashram. They have material limiting concepts of what Varnashram is. They're not bringing it into
Right.
the transcendence.
So they, again, for their arguments, according to people that were there, they made two main quotes that they based their arguments.
Mhm.
One I already read about Suniti
Mhm.
not being, because she was Dhruva's mother and a woman, secondarily, that was their considered. They rated that. Another one was from Krishna book. So that was, and we showed how that was
Yes.
a fallacious argument, error and fallacious error in debate.
When did this meeting and vote occur?
Just recently, in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Do we know what the vote was, or it's
I'm not sure. I'm sure we
it's
can.
secret.
I'm sure we can find that.
I
Okay.
believe I heard that the names aren't there, who voted for what. It's
Okay.
just a numbers. That's what I heard. I don't get into it.
So the other argument they used was based on Krishna book, the Yogic Brahmins story. So again, without going into again for brevity, because we are running out of time and space on the hard drive.
If anyone wants to donate hard drives, we'll accept.
Do we take soft drives? No, mainly just hard drives. After the return, I'm going to read this. This is what they use. This is the quote they use. After the return of the wives, after the return of their wives from Krishna, the Brahmins engaged in the performance of sacrifices. Basically, the Brahmins said that the women could not perform Vedic sacrifices because they were women. And they could not attain. I can't remember the exact quote. I think I missed the quote. Oh, the Brahmins continued. According to Vedic injunction, women are not allowed to undergo the purificatory process of initiation by the sacred thread, nor are they allowed to live as brahmacharis in the ashram of the spiritual master. Nor are they advised. Did Prabhupada allow that? Okay. See, these are traditionalists speaking. Yogic Brahmins, nor are they advised to undergo the strict disciplinary procedures, nor are they very expert in discussing the philosophy of self-realization. And by their nature, they are not very pure, nor are they very much attached to auspicious activities. Therefore, how wonderful it is that these women have developed transcendental love for Krishna, the Lord of all mystic yogis. So they cite this as like, just see but hello, let's look at the context of this. These are the yogic Brahmins whose lack of spiritual understanding is being highlighted, is being, the yellow highlighter in this pastime. They blew it. In the Krishna book, it says, after the return of the wives from Krishna, the Brahmins engaged in the performance of sacrifices began to regret their sinful activities in refusing food to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They finally understood their mistake. Just to continue on. They began to condemn themselves after seeing the faith and devotion of their wives. They realized their wives actually had the proper understanding, and they were very regretful. They regretted that very much. They regretted very much that although their wives were elevated to the platform of pure devotional service, they themselves could not understand even a little bit of how to love and offer transcendental loving service to the Supreme Soul. It goes on. They go, to hell with our being born Brahmins. So you could say, how come these men are not feeling the same regret? And they use this pastime to justify their position, that the yogic Brahmins made this quote, where they missed the whole point. The context of it is that the yogic Brahmins were way off base. They had an improper understanding, just as it's apparently that these...
That's the Siddhanta. That's the conclusion of this.
But where is that regret?
Where is that?
Where is that regret?
They got stuck on the 2 paisa Brahmin thread.
Exactly.
Is
there
what
you go.
happened. They got stuck on that. And recently, one of them had given a whole podcast, and like half of it was all about the Brahmin, because a woman doesn't have a Brahmin thread. It's part of the ritual of being.
Prabhupada said, "We are." What is that quote that I was read from Prabhupada?
I'd rather have the garland from Srila Prabhupada.
She can't go. She can't reach spiritual love for Krishna
because she doesn't have a piece of string on her
paisa Brahmin thread.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
A paisa is like less than a penny. People, they don't.
Again, Prabhupada.
It's a fraction of a penny.
Yeah.
Again, Prabhupada said, an acharya who comes for the service of the Lord cannot be expected to conform to a stereotype or these traditionalists, they're like the yogic Brahmins. We want to perform Vedic rituals, and a woman can't make advancement. She can't be, because she doesn't have a 2 paisa thread around her. I mean, come on.
Yeah. This is what Prabhupada fought against, this mentality.
Totally.
Mentality about smarta, traditionalists. They take pride in strict adherence to the Hindu historical traditions and values.
And we don't have disdain for that culture.
Yeah.
But the principle of spiritual culture supersedes that.
Yes, and that's what Lord Chaitanya in Chaitanya Charitamrita, where he's talking to Ramananda Roy, one of his another saintly great devotee. They were talking about Varnashram. And so Lord Chaitanya specifically said, real Varnashram is not that you have to put someone in this box and someone else in that box, but on the bodily platform. But real Varnashram is that whoever has an inclination to serve the Lord in a certain way, They should be given all facility and all. That's varnashram. And that's just good management, to tell you the truth. A good manager sees something in someone and goes, oh, I can encourage you to do this because you're better at this than that. So, and engages people according to their, I like to say propensities, or what is that propensity? It's a gift from God above.
You keep burning the subject, so I have another service for you.
Yeah, I did that too before. Please
You know,
don't
this
put me in
this
the
brings up
kitchen.
this brings up another point, which is a whole nother subject matter for another
Mhm.
podcast discussion, which is what is the nature of guru? And what is the nature of relationship with guru and disciple? And can a guru be rubber stamped by an institution? Or is it
Hmm.
because that is not the tradition of Guru Parampara or the Vedic tradition, that an organization goes, okay, now you are guru.
Mhm.
Okay, we understand there's institutional considerations, and I
Mhm.
respect that. At the same time, the tradition is such, it's like Prabhupada, we didn't see that Prabhupada had like, I'm a bona fide guru stamp on his, hello, my name is Srila Prabhupada, I'm a bona fide guru, when they came into 26 Second Avenue. No, that wasn't there. What was it? They got, as you said, the Divya Gyan, the transcendental knowledge, the infusion of mercy coming through from Lord Krishna, through the millennium, through the entire chain of disciplic succession, to the current representative, Srila Prabhupada. Just like Jesus said, no one unto the Father but by me at that time. Actually, the translation is at that time. Now,
Mhm.
Prabhupada was that representative that was empowered by Lord Nityananda, Lord Chaitanya, Lord Krishna. Krishna told Prabhupada, I want you to go and distribute those books, those revelations, those anecdotal pastimes are there where he revealed that.
Mhm.
In the spiritual world, Prabhupada Krishna said that. And Prabhupada said, no, I don't want to come. Krishna said, no, you just go write those books. I'll take care of everything.
Mhm.
Write those books.
Now, you've said that before, but isn't that just based on one devotee who was there with him? I mean, is that corroborated? I mean, it sounds great and everything.
I mean, I take it as such.
I think there's several areas where we heard these stories so long ago, especially,
Yeah.
that those were more accurate than things that we might have heard later on.
Yeah,
Like
these-
Prabhupada said, it's not just another Prabhupada said.
This is a direct,
Oh,
just
really?
like
Thing.
you are
Yeah.
explaining what happened to you with Prabhupada.
But he was in the room alone with Bhavananda.
No.
That wasn't Bhavananda.
Oh, that was Bhavananda.
Okay.
Right, yeah. It was Bhavananda and Prabhupada.
Okay.
Yeah, and Siddhanta recently interviewed him again and spoke that.
So we're just, I mean, I'm not saying it's not true. I'm saying we're just accepting it just based on his word alone. That's all I'm saying.
Well, it's just like what you could say that with the Bible then too. The different different books that people were there at the time recounting these pastimes. Just like even in Krishna's pastimes, people were there. I mean, you could say that with any historian.
Yeah, but like when they wrote the Lilamrita, if they put like
Sometimes there were things put in there and also eliminated.
Right.
There's hardly anything about Prabhupada women disciples in that relationship.
So I agree with you that it could
got-
be just like Rina Nandamaj was saying today in class, that he said things and then he looked at the transcripts and saw that it was slightly different.
right.
So that is, but I take it as this was such a profound experience
Mm-hmm.
that it was in what's the word I'm looking for? Etched into his consciousness with such, force and potency that I accept it, but who am I?
Right. And I'm just saying we just need to qualify it as opposed to something that's corroborated by a number of people. That's all I'm saying.
Sure, that's always
Yeah, that's
important.
fair.
We could check
Uh-huh.
that. Why don't we fact check that? Yeah.
Right.
But,
But
one
this
thing is
the conversation was
Mhm.
not recorded.
one
Uh-huh.
thing we know about Prabhupada's mood that he wrote in his own poetry
Right.
and other
Exactly.
places,
That's the
that he
corroboration.
had
Yeah.
he had the mood that I didn't want to take sannyas. I didn't want to do this big thing. It wasn't because I wanted to do this huge
Right.
thing. It wasn't his ego. He
And
did it because he was feeling pushed by super soul in his heart by Krishna.
And he had
from
that
his
dream of his
Guru.
spiritual master, right? Who came in a
Right.
dream and
So,
said,
so that goes along with that. I'm
In
just
the
saying,
poem he wrote
when-
also,
yes,
he
that's
said,
right.
"Why have you brought me here?"
Yes,
Right.
yes.
so these things, yeah. So that's very interesting. It's so cool that that you brought that up, because these are ways to corroborate that.
Yes.
You know, I mean, it's not 100% corroboration,
Yeah.
but I would say that it's close.
Well, it's in the same mood.
Right.
And that's where we want to take the whole understanding of Prabhupada and not just little pieces.
So back to my point that I was making, the point that I was making, that what is can you rubber stamp guru? I mean, according to the ISKCON system, yes. My understanding is no. Just like I know people that are initiating, have a number of disciples. Garuda was just on our show, and he has 17, 18 disciples. And I want to hear about Narayani. Let's finish up with Narayani.
Okay.
But I'm just going to speak about Garuda. And there are a few others who are not authorized by the ISKCON institution, although they've had a number of conversations with him wanting to. And he said, no, I'd rather, for different reasons. And he gave his reasons. Well, that's a subject for another.
Mhm.
And how did that relationship come about? Because he's been teaching and giving classes. And people have, just like he was telling me, we had a conversation 2 nights ago on the phone. A couple people from New Zealand have been they've been listening to his lectures and different things, and he never met them. And they've been so inspired that they insisted, we want you as our spiritual master. Why? Because they're getting inspired in the path of love of God through his teachings. That's the nature of the guru-disciple relationship. So if a woman who is inspiring one in the path of bhakti is actually in person, people are like, I personally, one time in the past where I wanted someone as a shiksha guru, and there's a couple people now that I get that shiksha from. And this person was Srimati. You know Srimati? She was, I don't know if she's still alive, but when I went to India a couple times, I was so inspired by this person.
In Mayapur.
Mayapur, and she was also in Vrindavan. And she did, and I was
Very austere,
super austere, like super saintly,
dedicated,
and knowledgeable, and very Prabhupada centric. She compiled a whole book on why is Prabhupada special, so special. And I was like, I want to, and I asked her if I could take shiksha from her. And because I was inspired, I didn't think she's a woman, and because I didn't see her I just saw her as a saintly person. So that's the nature of the guru-disciple relationship, in my understanding, because that's how it's been since time immemorial, not a rubber stamp. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Prabhupada even used the word "don't rubber stamp." You can't rubber stamp like again, the Smarta Brahmins, and they just rubber stamp, you're a Brahmin, you're a guru, you're a sannyasi, you're a pure devotee or whatever. You can't rubber stamp that, of course not. And as far as Narayani, we got to ask about Narayani.
So let's end with this.
I want to say that for Pranada has been giving amazing podcasts. She has written wonderful books, all totally based on real truth of what Prabhupada's teachings are about, and with a great perspective. And now there's Narayani. I mean, there's many other ladies I could speak about as well, that are friends of mine. Narayani, when I first met her, I was just a new devotee, second time to the temple. And I walked in, and she was sitting against the wall with a typewriter, or old-fashioned hand typewriter. And Prabhupada was speaking. There was a recording or whatever, and it was just coming through. It was very basic. She didn't have a lot of equipment. She didn't have any other equipment. It was just Prabhupada through a speaker, and he's giving a lecture, and she's typing away. She was transcribing the lecture. And I came in, and I said, what language is he speaking? I was like second day coming. And she said, oh, he's speaking English. She turned around and greeted me, stopped her work for a minute. I mean, she didn't have, what do they call them, the dictaphones that could shut off for a minute and then start it again. It was like, but she stopped to be gracious to me. And she said, oh, he's speaking English. And after a while, you'll get to understand it. And she was very sweet.
What year was that?
1970. We became good friends from that moment. She was also still Christine, and I was Elaine,
And that was what? Where was it?
1970 Boston.
Boston. Okay.
And the press was there. That's why she was there for transcribing. So she was brilliant, and she could go that fast to keep up with Prabhupada, basically. So later on, she studied all the books. That was her thing. She loved it. And I encouraged her. She was in Vrindavan. This is many years later. And she...
Can I just interrupt you?
Yes.
She is the only initiating authorized
by
guru
the
in ISKCON.
GBC.
Yes. So
She's the
that's
only, and they had to let her, because she had young girls that wanted to get initiated by her. I think she only has one disciple, actually, because they stopped it immediately. Okay, first of all, I want to say something. If the ISKCON gurus are absolute, which a lot of people think they are, coming straight from the spiritual world, and everything they say is absolute, then how can they say that she can be a guru only in 1 month and not the next month if nothing in her devotional status has changed? It doesn't make sense. So you're actually saying, and inadvertently, you're saying that none of the ISKCON gurus are really absolute. And they don't have to be.
But do a lot of people really think that, though?
I think many do.
That's surprising to me, but maybe it's true.
Sometimes in their VS Pujas, they write, you came from the spiritual world.
Yeah, no, there is the...
And there's that, the point is that it's okay for a guru not to be absolute. Does he have to be an Uttamadhikari? No. He can be... Uttamadhikari means the highest level of understanding devotional philosophy in life. You can be a madhyam. Madhyam means you're in the middle. You're okay. You got enough to inspire people, and but you may make mistakes sometimes. That's okay. It's okay. When I heard
But you're fixed. You're steady.
Yes, yeah. The point is that your intention is to do the right thing by your spiritual master and the Shastra. Your intention is to.
And the Divya Gyan, if one is not on the highest platform, because Prabhupada is everyone's Shiksha Guru, the Divya Gyan is coming from Srila Prabhupada through the help of their regular guru. And that is not, that understanding is not promoted really widely.
Enough. Not enough.
And so they have this, because Prabhupada is available to everyone. And a relationship with Prabhupada is tantamount for everyone in the Krishna consciousness movement to hear from Prabhupada daily, regularly, and understand that whatever, that's where the real Divya Gyan is coming.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
so are you promoting Ritvik now?
No, because it's Prabhupada's everyone's Shiksha Guru. I made that very clear. I didn't say Diksha. That's where the Ritviks have it.
But if Shiksha and Diksha are the same.
Right. They're the same in principle, but in the formality, one cannot, that's not the Vedic tradition. And again, we don't want to go into this. It's a whole nother discussion, but, and we can certainly have that discussion. But the instruction of the ever-present Uttama Adhikari Srila Prabhupada is always available to anyone, Prabhupada can't, it's like saying, it's like you want to become a devotee of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I mean, come on. That's just, there are very rare instances of, it's like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta being initiated to a picture, but there's, again, all those things can be explained, but again, I don't want to diverge from the time. That's a whole nother subject matter.
Well, one time I was with Bhakti Charu Maharaj, and that was at a time when he was trying to do something with guru reform, like how to reform our gurus in ISKCON, because they were going a little overboard.
That was around 86 or so.
Maybe, I don't know.
And Satsarup, didn't he write a book called The
Guru Reform Notebook? Yeah.
And so I was talking with Bhakti Charu and Maharaj, and he was saying some of the things he was starting to write. We were just having, me and him, a conversation, and I said, I understand that the gurus, they can bring their disciples to Prabhupada, but ultimately it's Prabhupada who's giving them through the disciplic succession to Krishna, to Radha.
That was his understanding.
Krishna. No, that was my understanding.
Right.
So I said, the gurus need to actually admit that they are not really on their own. They can't bring their disciples to Krishna directly.
And what did he say?
That he kind of went, oh, that's an interesting point. I'm going to think about that more. Maybe I'll write it. I don't know what he ended up writing.
Well, I know
but-
because I was somewhat close with him.
Mhm.
And he, later on in his life, he had that understanding, at least from what I could surmise. He had that understanding.
And
He shifted because of him being a self-reflective type of person. You know, it requires that lack of ego, that introspection, that ability to be regretful when one is making mistakes. And I think he had that come to Jesus, come to Krishna type of understanding, and it humbled him. And in that humility, he realized the truth that you had presented to him.
well, yeah.
And unless they're actually on that platform, it's not that.
Yeah. And it's no less because but they had to, it should have been announced more that this is our position as gurus. We're helping you to get to Prabhupada, to get to the
to help understand
to,
the Prabhupada's teachings.
Yes, it's not that we become your absolute on every level and be able to control your life, you know, on a you know, what job you should do, where you should live, who you should marry, and that became chaos. It became chaotic, and then they couldn't maintain it, most of them. So then it became very disturbing. Like some disciples got married. I mean, not married, initiated 5 times, and also married 5 times, but initiated 5. You know, like 5 different. I mean, the whole thing that they were under what you were saying. They were under the umbrella of Prabhupada's. First of all, he's the Acharya. So we were under the umbrella of the Acharya and all his books that he wrote, that knowledge. You can't take that away from a disciple.
So back to Narayani.
Yeah.
Let's finish off.
Yes.
No, it's just kind of naturally. It's because it's a very free-flowing, evolving conversation, and you're a very evolved person.
I'm working on it. Evolving person. Trying.
There's such an evolving person. You shouldn't know from it. Anyway.
Oy vey.
Hey, do demons have a come to Ravana moment sometimes?
That's a great question.
So Narayani, one time I was with her in Sweden. This was more recent in the last several years, and we were both giving classes, and we were conversing together, and we were having little meetings for the ladies and working on it together. And I was going to give class, and I ran up to her and I said, Narayani, where does it say in Srimad Bhagavatam about? And I just gave the concept. And then she goes, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto, 5, verse number 6, chapter this. And she gave me the whole transliteration, the Sanskrit, the translation of the verse, and the whole purport. She's like, and I'm like, whoa, And it was like, this is who Narayani is, walking Bhagavatam, walking Srimad Bhagavatam, walking Bhagavad Gita. You ask her any verse out of anywhere, and she'll give you the whole lowdown of it. I mean, not many people in this world has that kind of a, you could say, photogenic memory, or it's not just her memory. She knows it with her heart too. And when she speaks, you can feel it. Krishna gave her a very sweet voice, and when she speaks, it's not only sweet from the hearing, but it's sweet from the heart, and you feel it. So she, if anyone's qualified, she's so overqualified.
The dog barking is
kind of confirmation.
Confirmation.
But this is a disgrace that someone like that, and she is kind of very, very. I don't know why, because I don't understand it, but she is very. You could say dedicated, that she's only going to do something when the GBC says, because she feels that Prabhupada said we have to follow the GBC. We don't have to agree with them, but we have to obey and follow pretty much for the, I don't know. I don't agree, because we're wasting time. We're wasting valuable time. How many more years left? We're all going to be 80 within 10 years or less.
Not me.
You're eternally youthful. Just keep eating the gulab jamins and pakoras. That'll keep you alive.
Yeah,
for sure.
Do we have? No, we don't have some here, unfortunately.
No.
Yeah, that begs another question. So anyway, she is a really great soul. and-
Overqualified.
So, and there are many more like her.
Mhm.
And the point is, guru disciple, it's a relationship. It cannot be rubber stamped. If I'm inspired by someone, just like I was with the Srimate, this person inspires me. There's a couple other people currently and that really inspire me. And I'm not probably going to formalize that relationship. And they don't live in this country.
And you don't have to.
I don't have to. I'm just like,
of the heart.
yeah, I just like, wow, this person really inspires me in a way that I haven't been inspired in years. Just hearing from this person or that person. And that's the nature of course, I was initiated by Srila Prabhupada, and anybody who's been initiated even if not by Prabhupada, they have that,
Sure.
that connection. And just like Prabhupada said, the grandfather is more merciful than the father. So the grand disciples of Prabhupada actually have more chance for mercy than the disciples. So it's such a beautiful thing. But it's a relationship. Does this person, and one should be discerning and intelligent and knowledgeable enough to know what are the qualifications of the Guru. Have they understood the imports of Vedic literature? Are they purely representing Srila Prabhupada in their actions, in their words, in their mood, in their mission? And then if that person is inspiring one, then the relationship is natural. And that's what happened with Garuda. And he's not rubber stamped by ISKCON.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So it's not that I'm trying to buck the system, but I'm saying maybe the system needs some looking at.
It needs, yeah. And we can wait a little while longer, but really don't make us wait another 45 years. We'll all be in the hospice by then.
Well, not only, but
So it
it's not,
doesn't make
but
sense.
you know,
And then
we're talking about the next
yeah, the
generation.
next
and the
generation is out though.
And then they're gonna
Yeah.
they're gonna lose faith in the whole
Yeah.
in the whole institution. And really, Prabhupada's movement was way beyond the institution. And that's the point here. We have to fly our own ship, fly our own,
Plane.
fly our own plane.
And with Prabhupada as the pilot and the captain.
Right. And that's the main thing. So why don't we end on that?
Yeah. I'd like to say one quick little thing.
Sure.
That Prabhupada, wrote the Bhagavad Gita as it is, and the Srimad Bhagavatam. And at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, he's saying that Krishna is saying that give up all varieties of religion and the flowery words of the Vedas. And that, this is the end of Bhagavad Gita. Give up these cultural and material considerations of religion. And surrender to me. And then the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Dharmi Projita Kaitavo. He's saying that in Bhagavatam, it's beginning with this Bhagavatam does not even discuss religion, which is materially motivated. So I think that's the beginning and the end of where we are attempting to go in this whole conversation. A religion without material motivation, which means loving Krishna with bhakti with the soul.
Without material bodily conceptions.
Thank you.
Gargs?
Thank you so much. This is a great conversation, and I think it's going to go viral.
Yay! We're going viral.
You were so cute when you just did that. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. We would really appreciate, we thank our guest, Ananga Manjari. How can people follow you, find you?
I don't really have a platform yet, but I'm planning one.
She's going to come to your house.
I have to get technical help.
So that will be upcoming, and we can put that in the description. But thank you for spending time with us here today at the Eighth Element Podcast. We'd love if you found some value here, subscribe, please comment on the video. And
follow us on all social media.
Yeah. Follow us to the ends of the earth. And so we hope you got something out of it, and we'll see you next time.
Living a simple life in a complicated world. It's like walking make you fall. Living a simple life's not such a simple thing.